They do not know the rising towers of Hillbrow. They do not know the sprawling suburbs of the north. They do not know the sweet sounds of isiXhosa, Afrikaans, Sesotho. They do not know our ways. They do not know our people. They do not know us. We are not waiting for permission. We are not asking to be seen. We are our own region. We are SSA, RSC Johannesburg, RSC Nairobi, RSC Saint-Denis. This is not just a league, it is a movement. 4 seasons deep, and we are only just beginning. We train on 200 ping. We grind through blackout. We fight through silence. And we win anyway. This is Sub-Saharan Africa. This is our fight. This is Season 4.
We have fought through a full season almost here in RSC SSA. We approach the postseason next week with a little bit of trepidation as we go into week 9 with not everything settled yet. Good evening, everybody. My name is Rhino. It's a pleasure to be hosting the final week of RSC SSA Season 4 for every one of you. What a season it's been. We've had highs, we've had lows, we've had Bromeo getting moved to about 10 different teams, but we're here tonight to close things out. So let's go through what we have for you. There you have it. It is the calendar. So few colored weeks left just this week 9 before we get on to next week, where we have our playoff run. Prospect, Rival, Elite, and Master all will find out who their champions for SSA Season 4 are very, very soon. Let's, of course, as always, though, first thank our sponsors, starting off with our streaming partner, Genisus X Streams, the team behind all of our RSC streams. We thank them so very much for all of the work that they have put into the last 2 seasons here of RSC SSA. We could not put on these events without them. Thank you very much, Genisus. We also have to thank Nearstream, of course, who are our LAN equipment provider. They were all around the Stellenbosch LAN, as we like to call it, and a lot of the equipment that you saw at that LAN was brought to you by Nearstream. We thank them very much. And last but certainly not least, Slayer, our energy drink can sponsor and also our prize pool sponsor. Every single crate of Slayer Energy that you all picked up added 50 Rand to our prize pool, and you can see there we're on 18,250, which I believe means we actually had a couple of last minute crates picked up by some people in the community. If that was you, thank you so much. This now is the prize pool that we have for this season. And how are we going to close out this season as far as the regular season goes? Well, we have got 4 games for you in 4 different tiers. We're going all around the RSC, kicking things off in Elite with Unity versus Cosmico. We've then got Rival as Cosmico take on Deathcloud, and then we've got Prospect, I'm sensing a theme, Cosmico taking on Monarch. And finishing off the night, it's White Rabbit Gaming taking on Ox Gaming. A fantastic night of action, so much to talk about, and I've got people now that I can talk about all of that stuff with. We have got our first casters of the night. I'm thrilled to have on the desk with us Muzz and Naori Mizuki. Welcome to you both. It's a pleasure. Sam, it's the first time we've been on a cast for quite a while, and it's a pleasure to have you back. How are you excited? How do you think that the playoffs are shaping up here in RSC?
Honestly, I'm devastated. that Omnius has not been doing better. But aside from that, it has been very entertaining to watch. I find it absolutely mind blowing. Maybe it shouldn't be mind blowing. Cosmico are Cosmico, whether it's RSC or whether it's the regular leagues, VS, whatever the case is. But the fact that they've managed to put together 4 pug teams of 4 varying skill levels that are all dominating the competition is. Whoever is managing talent at that roster, bro, like, give them a raise. Very, very impressive stuff going on over there.
Yeah, they're doing fantastic work. And I do have to say, I thought you were going to say you were disappointed in how Rocket League is doing in Mythic, but we all know which side of the fence you fall on over there. Muzz, it's a pleasure to have you back on the RSC tonight. We're closing out this season. What a season it's been.
Yeah, it's been a stellar season, as you guys have already mentioned there, Rhino. We've been watching these teams fighting the whole way through 9 weeks of gameplay. I'm looking at the franchise standings here. Deathcloud, Ox, they are just fighting, I guess, for second and third place behind Cosmico, because Cosmico have been doing so damn well. Even Shadow Esports there, coming in at that mid-table, Rhino. So yeah, it's been a long season. RSC is always fun like that. A lot of banter, a lot of kind of fun play. Random rosters are thrown together. It's just, yeah, it's for the lols and the fun, right?
It certainly is, and we hope that everybody playing this season has had a lot of fun, but it's kind of the business side of the season now. So let's take a look at the standings then for our first game of the day. Of course, we are in the elite tier. We are going to be having a look at Unity Mzansi Magic taking on Cosmico Luna, and there you go. This game is a very, very interesting one for a couple of reasons. Unity come in guaranteed play-ins at a minimum. They are going to next week. However, a 4-0 win tonight would put them second place and send their opponents, Cosmico, into the play-ins. However, on the flip side, Cosmico Luna currently in second place on goal difference. If they are able to sweep tonight, then they will have all but locked in that second place in the table. But there is that pesky Deathcloud Esports who are kind of hanging on the shoulders of that top 2, wanting to knock on the door. And Deathcloud, I believe, are playing Omnius tonight as well. So however that game goes, really could shake the table up. Sam, Cosmico versus Unity, second versus fourth, an exciting matchup for the last week.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say I'm really hoping that Omnius can win their game tonight, because then we might actually make it into play-ins. But
True.
I digress. I feel like this game, I mean, you laid it out so perfectly, right? It's not about whether or not you can advance. Both of these teams are going to advance. It's the manner in which you do it. It's, do you book yourself a ticket all the way through to the end, or are you going to have to play through those grueling playoffs to get that spot? And that's a big difference maker. You really want to have that kind of feather in your cap, have that little bit of extra time to do a little bit of stratting and preparation, but also some really important rest. It's been a grueling season. It's been so many games, and to have an opportunity to just take a breather, focus on yourselves, focus on, the upcoming matches, it could make a huge difference. And of course, there's always the little bit of pride on the line as well for getting those top 2.
Yeah, there always is, and I would just like to apologize to you, Sam. I gave you false hope. Omnius have played all 36 of their games. It is going to be Deathcloud versus Azura Gaming tonight.
Can't believe you've done this.
It was sick. I know. It's on me. Well, I'm going to go away and think about what I've done while you two bring us game number 1. It's Elite Tier to kick things off tonight for RSC SSA. It is Unity Mzansi Magic taking on Cosmico Luna. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Rhino. And well, Muzz, I don't know about you, but I'm very much looking forward to this match, right? We've laid out the stakes. We've kind of figured out, what's on the table. What are we playing for? What are we fighting for? Now we can get a little bit into the nitty gritty. And what are you thinking? Like, how do we think this matchup is going to go?
I mean, I'm checking out this Unity roster here. We've looked at Tubbsy, Capello in the kind of 9 weeks of play or 8 weeks of regulation play we've had here. They've done superbly well. I want Unity to get a dub here, Sam. I rarely do, because we've spoken about play-ins and how grueling that's going to be. But on the other end, right, you got a forward Hilux who's desperate to win, who's been carrying Luna kind of through the whole season with Tristan, with Ryan Senpei. So Cosmico, they kind of sitting pretty. They're second, things are good for them. The season's gone well, right? They've had just W after W for the past 3 game weeks already, right? Whereas we look at the other side, Mzansi Magic, they've had the draws and the losses. And so they kind of had a tougher game week 7 and 8 respectively. And, they definitely need to kind of come up into maybe a 3rd position at taking out Miasma if they can get the win here. I mean, that goal difference as well is like 27-9. Just shows you kind of how well Luna have been shooting against their opponents as well.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be really cool. I remember watching Ford Hilux kind of at the beginning of the season as well. And some really, really impressive performances there. So always looking forward to seeing a little bit more of that as we go on. But we're just about ready, folks, to jump into our very first game now of series number 1. Let that hype start to build. Let the tension build, because I was talking about Cosmico, a team that is looking to absolutely decimate in all 4 levels of play across the RSC SSA. And of course, this is just one more step along the ladder, one more rung that they must climb in order to claim utter dominance. And you might know this a little bit better than I. We'll come back to this a little bit later, because it looks like we've got kickoff.
Yeah, here we go. We're going to see what happens. And of course, Flyaway being one of our Reunion Island players. So he's repping Ford Hilux's Cosmico team right now as well. It's good to see there's a lot of international players being on the field here between Ryan Senpa and Flyaway. So we're going to see how that works out for the roster. And of course, kind of a full-ish Unity SSA team.
So far, it's just that little bit of back and forth, kind of feeling each other out a bit. Well, let's see what the other team is made of. Where can we push? Where can we prod? Where can we take space? Testing the limits a little bit as Unity find themselves with the ball stolen away from them once again. It's turning into a little bit of a tennis match as we go back and forth across the pitch. Neither one really managing to gain the control that they want. But it does feel like maybe Cosmico have the advantage.
Yeah, I think Cosmic are able to do while Luna having such a stellar season. We've spoken about Ford Hilux sending this goalward as well. That was incredibly close, though, having to get pushed out there by Unity as well. Let's see what Ryan Senpa has been able to muster. Capello with the catch. Nice little flick over one. Once to get all the way downfield, Ryan's going to get that catch. Maybe a second touch coming in here for Cosmic as well. Coming in. Oh, there it is. Ford Hilux. We did give him a kind of a nice little pep talk here prior, Sam, and there we go. He's giving us our opener.
Yeah, solid layup there from Ryan Senpai, and then for Ford Hilux to just kind of close that gap. A little bit of a touch on the ball, straight through the goal. No one around to even attempt at stopping it. So that's going to be Cosmico going up to 1-0, first goal of the evening, and looking to kind of get that rebounded back. Unity putting a lot of pressure on them at the moment and kind of battling back quite heavily here, but we're maintained a lot of control here in the Unity half, and Cosmico kind of struggling to get it away from their own goalpost.
Yeah, it's good to see this pressure being laid down by Unity as well. They're just kind of keeping them back down in their defensive third. Maybe Stolz is going to take a shot in here. It's going to go wide just to the left of the post, and Ford Hilux is going to have to clear this out, though. Oh, nice little play there coming from Ryan Senpai. It wasn't going to be the biggest pinch in the world, but it's going to do exactly what he needs. And Tubbsy wants to try and defend this for Unity, but Ford Hilux laying down the pressure. It should go just wide for Ryan Senpai, and Stolz is going to keep that one out. Then, Cosmo is sitting comfy right now with the 1-goal opener. Maybe this is going to be 2. Ryan Senpai just charging forward. But yeah, Unity definitely need to muster something together.
Oh, goodness, that was close. Oh, right place, right time. But Cosmico have so quickly taken back the control and laying down a severe amount of pressure themselves. Demolition to come through. This could be the perfect opening, the opportunity that they need. The ball goes a little bit awry. They lose that control, and Unity have already closed that distance, but no one there for the layup. No one there to knock it straight in, trying desperately, but it might be a little bit too late for that opportunity. So we're going to have to try and find a new opportunity to get that ball in between those goalposts, and Cosmico trying desperately to hold that defensive line, but Unity are playing really well off of one another. It does feel, however, like there maybe are a few gaps here, and they're just not finding the opportunities that they need to really slam that ball in. Oh, I thought that might have been it. Maybe no. Just Cosmico, bro, on them well, I said this before, flies on leftover braai place, and I got yelled at. Apparently there's no such thing.
I was just about to say, like, whose home are you going to and where's the leftover meat? Because that doesn't exist right now. So flick by Capello, almost they're coming up. But I was going to just echo what you're saying. I like the kind of linkage between Tubbsy and Stolzy as well. They're doing incredibly well. Maybe just give me a second toucher coming up from Cosmico. Close there. I fly away. Couldn't get the second touch off of their crossbar there as well, but I do like how the Unity lads are getting together here as well. Touch coming in from Ford Hilux. There it is, the big man coming in, finds 2 from 2 as well. And so Cosmico Luna, they are taking this lead.
That's such a sneaky play as well. Like, he just manages to tap it and it bounces off the top and straight in, and unfortunately Unity just not in the right position. That's got to be, I mean, you got to be kicking yourself for that one, and now Unity find themselves at a 2-goal deficit. So this is where things could get a little bit scary. The desperation plays may yet start to come out as we kind of get closer and closer to the 1-minute mark. And, well, it's not going to be desperation. It's pure skill and the perfect opening for Cosmico. I fly away from literally Narnia with the 3rd goal of the day.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, Cosmico coming into this match with the whole 27 goal difference, right? So, you know, they're extending that lead right now. They've just absolutely been decimating the elite tier here as well. Well, all kind of tiers around the park here in Season 4 as well. So Cosmico just, you know, getting points on the board here for the franchise at the moment. Their shot coming down, but Unity not really making anything work of it right now. I fly away trying to bring it around Bender, but Tubbsy at least beats him out on that one. You know, I don't know if we're going to be able to get 3 in 50 seconds, but Unity at least can try it. Zones of Magic, maybe looking for a 2nd man, 3rd man to come in there as well, but no one looking to take the charge, and so the defense still incredibly good here for Cosmico.
And that's all Cosmico need to do at this point. As long as there's no goal, as long as there's no reset, they can burn this timer down as long as they want. 30 seconds remaining, and or maybe they'll try and go for a cheeky 4th. Unity trying desperately not to allow that to happen, but is it going to make the biggest difference in the world here as we continue to just kind of fly up in the air, closer and closer to the final moments? Now Ford Hilux with control of the ball. He's already managed to get 2 goals tonight. Not going to be allowed to get his 3rd and a 4th total as that clock ticks down. Unity desperately want just 1 goal for the day, but we're going to try and slam that ball straight into the ground, not in the goalposts. Still up in the air, still desperately ticking over.
Oh.
And now it's dead. And that's it. Cosmico walk away with the first game of the night.
I mean, you know, I think someone wanted just a cheeky one for the road there as well. I'm incredibly excited to see what these post-game stats are going to look like. I saw shots coming out from everyone was tremendous. The 10 here on Cosmico. Everyone was just absolutely peppering the net. We see here on the side of Unity, they had a fair share themselves as well. Stolzy, I'm so surprised couldn't get into the back of the net there as well. But of course, the saves coming out from Cosmico, just defense as good as their offense. And I think that's exactly what is, you know, that's what's put them into 2nd place this season.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I always look at, and I don't know, y'all know I'm still relatively new to Rocket League, finding my way around, but Ford Hilux with upwards of 50 touches to me is just insane, right? I was saying this in one of the other games as well, just proper, like, golden retriever energy. Ball, absolutely everywhere at once, making sure to be involved in all of those situations. And of course, that does mean that, yes, he did get those 2 goals. And even if he wasn't getting the goals himself, he was assisting in saves, or he was assisting in passing and making sure that the ball is exactly where it needs to be at just the right time. And that's the kind of player that you need to have on your team, that's just constantly involved. That to me is like a participation rating. That's somebody that's been involved in every second of the match. But not too much time to dwell on that as we head now into game number 2. And the ball is looking devastatingly close to another goal for Cosmico.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how you open up game number 2 as well. You just want to be able to score immediately off the bat like that. It didn't happen, but we saw the 3 goals in the previous game as well. Maybe Ryan Senpai looking for a little bit more as well, though, but cut out by that strong Unity defense. And maybe we're going to see Ford Hilux break the 55 touches this game around as well. Oh, Ryan Senpai again. Unity really just stalwart at the back. They're keeping out this purple offense.
Oh, what? He was there! He was there! And oh, God! Slips through the needle. Ford Hilux once again lays it up and allows it. He lays himself up at that point. Beautifully done. And that's going to be the first goal of game number 2. That's his 3rd goal of the series as well. Constantly being involved, right place, right time. Now Unity, we need to start seeing some signs of life here from this squad. So far, they haven't really been showing us much to write home about. There's been some relatively strong defensive lines, but it's going to take a lot more than a strong defense to keep Cosmico at bay.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the 4 shots coming up from Stolz. I want to see if any of those kind of can get turned into goals that are on target as well. But of course, a lot of saves coming up from Cosmico as well. So their defense was incredibly decent. They're coming up game 1 here as well. But again, Luna, they've got this early lead. It's important, and they're probably going to be able to buffer that as well when they eventually find a second, because they seem so darn good at that as well here. Stolzy just trying to get rid of this one as well. Oh, demo coming out onto him. So the physicality there from Luna as well decent. Okay, everyone's getting blown up left, right, and center. It seems Ryan Senpai sent in a goalwood, kept out there by Tubbsy, and forward Hilux. Maybe something's going to happen. It's going to go the width of the field, and Unity want to be able to send this ball forward and not sideways, but you know, they're just trying to clear here amongst all the demos. That goes wide from Ryan Senpai.
Last second save there, Cosmico trying desperately, but Unity somehow constantly holding them at bay, somehow stopping them at every turn. But how much longer can this hold out? How much longer can this war of attrition continue? We're going to see Unity take a little bit of that control now, start moving down the pitch, but it's returned in such quick fashion from the Cosmico guys, keeping up that pressure as far as possible. Even if they lose a little bit of control, they can very easily regain a lot of that space. And again, it's forward Hilux, always involved, always being a problem. We play a little bit of bumper cars here. Deny that space, stop them from touching the ball. This is Cosmico's ball. They're not going to give Unity any opportunities to try and regain that control.
Yeah, I don't know. Forward Hilux has become like the enforcer and the bully here on the field as well. Maybe Golden Retriever. Well, Golden Retriever turns something nastier, whatever kind of breed that might be. But yeah, well, yeah, right. Rottweiler, I'm not sure. You know, he seems to be using the physicality to kind of just bully and box, and that's really good to see. Or almost a goal coming up there for, you know, forward once again. But again, Unity just keeping them at bay. Demos coming out here on the side of the pitch as well. And forward Hilux is going to drive it up and nab the 100. He's got one more to beat as well. Can he bring it around the bend? Not going to be able to find a teammate that time around. But Ryan Senpai continuing the play, and just, you know, Cosmico doing so well to always hold the possession, get the, you know, advantageous passing plays coming out here. He didn't get a second that time around forward Hilux, but the intention is always good from this team.
Unfortunately, intention, you know what they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and we're going to need to see a lot more than just this is what we were trying to accomplish. We need to start seeing those results. That is a great air snipe. And keep that momentum up as the ball just not really finding an opening here. This is a much better showing from Unity. By this point in the previous game, we were already at, I believe, 3-0, and we were heavily on the defensive line. But Unity have done very well to keep them at bay, but just cannot find the space to get those goals. And even if Cosmico weren't there, that was a little bit off center. It wasn't quite where it needed to be. And with less than a minute remaining, Unity have a Herculean task ahead of them here. All it's going to take is one goal to hit that overtime, but Cosmico are not giving them that space.
Not giving them that space, not giving them that possession, not allowing them to grab onto the ball as well. Maybe this is going to be good as well. Oh, almost though. I fly away. I had to put a whole body and chassis in front just to keep that one out. But, you know, good aiming and good shoots, and they're coming out from Unity as well. But nothing sticking. 20 seconds remaining of regulation here, and at least it is not 3-0 like the previous game. And you mentioned it's going to come down. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I mean, come on, Unity. We need just one. Now, one for the road, forced the OT. That one was maybe like 1/3 of the goal line, and it just could not go in.
And we're down to the sub 10-second mark. And again, it's that game of keep away, trying so hard to keep that ball up in the sky just for a moment longer. But oh, it's so close to touching ground. Unity, so close, but so far away. We've got devastation in the camp, as the ball is going to be knocked straight down into the ground. And it's another game win for Cosmico. A much, much closer affair, but a miss is as good as a mile.
I mean, that's exactly it, right? You lost by 1. That's all that Cosmico need. They've had a stellar season. They want to finish game week 9 here as high as the rest of the weeks have gone. GMs and AGMs at home are absolutely celebrating. This is now already 2 to the good. So, the best that Unity get is a draw. Do Cosmico allow them that draw, though? I kind of don't see it happening.
Yeah, I feel like, if Cosmico can start off the series with this much momentum, and the season, I suppose, just maintaining so much of that control throughout all of it, then this to them is likely just a setback, a minor setback that they should be able to bounce back from. 3-0 victory in the first map. Sure, the second map's a little bit of a closer one. Sure, you kind of had your back against the ropes for a little bit of it, but you got that important first goal, and that was all that really mattered. And at that point, you really do just need to play defense. Doesn't really matter how much you win by. It can make a difference when you get to those tie scenarios, but ultimately, if you're winning every game, it's not going to make any difference whatsoever. And if they can snag all 4 of these games, then it certainly shouldn't be something that comes into contention later on. So with all that said, let's find out if it will be a 3-0 start here for Cosmico, or if Unity will find a way back into this series.
Yeah, Cosmico pulled off 6 demos in that game as well, right? So I think half of that game we just watched through a cloud of smoke, to be honest, because Unity had a fair amount themselves. But good physicality coming up from Cosmico. They know they need to get rid of defenders when it matters as well. Cut out Stolzy, cut out Tubbsy, you can win games. They kind of have things figured out. Oh, well, there we go. Finally, Stolzy finding the mark.
That's their second goal of the day. It's taken a hot minute to get there, but they started off strong, and I do mean strong. We kicked off with a demolition, but off the back of that, they managed to garner a lot of control for themselves, a lot of space, and they'll get that first goal of the map. But of course, Cosmico not ready to give up the game just yet, and immediately fight back, winning the kickoff here. But Unity fighting back, showing a bit of presence, moving ever closer towards that Cosmico goalpost. And Cosmico losing a bit of ground here, but positioning so well. Unfortunately, they push too far out of the goal, and Stolzy with another goal to bring Unity up to 2. The weights have been taken off.
Oh, man. What is that young... What is Rock Lee? Is it Rock Lee, right? Is Rock Lee?
Yeah,
okay, so yeah, Rock Lee drops his ankle weights and then absolutely goes buck wild on Gara. Love it. Here we go. Okay, this is Unity and Stolzy dropping the ankle weights. Here we go. Goku as well, kind of taking up everything padded. Okay, Mzansi Magic, you can do it, guys. This is it. You 2 to the good right now. Yeah, we've had 1 minute of gameplay only again through as well, but we'll love to see it as well. Make it more. Stolzy, yes, boy, gets the hat trick. I mean, this is Rocket League, boys. This is it.
Stolzy, where you been, brother?
Exactly.
Hello? This is phenomenal. We've still got just under 4 minutes remaining, and he's already managed to tuck away 3 goals. You know what? Sometimes those first couple of maps, maybe you just needed a little bit of a warm-up, and woo-wee, that was... No, surely not, brother. The defensive line here from Cosmico have to be sweating. But through a little bit of lucky happenstance, those balls were bouncing off of the post, not quite finding their way in. And Cosmico can give themselves a little bit of a breath of fresh air here. As now, again, Unity lose control of the ball only momentarily. It's right back where they need it to be, but not quite in the right positions to get those kicks in, to get it in where it needs to be. And Cosmico now fighting to regain some of the momentum that they had before. With 3 minutes remaining, it's plenty of time, but it needs to start happening soon, and Unity are so on top of them.
Yeah, they just absolutely kind of changed the tune they're singing, right? You can see just how much they, put in the pressure down more into Cosmico as well. Those early challenges, Capello in their face, Stolzy in their face, Stolzy with the hat trick. They're just really saying, well, guys, we can force the draw now. We're just going to have to throw the whole kitchen sink at them and see how that sticks. I don't know if Wailu there was going to look for the kind of ground pinch. He got cut up by a flyaway moving forward. Hilux, though, not going to beat out Stolzy and Capello. They both go up for that one. Want to make sure that there's the double come in and keeping out Luna here in this game through an important potential draw they can force out of the series. I don't think Cosmico are going to like that too much here. Unity really just looking to upset the upper court tonight.
It looks like they may have done just that. Cosmico starting to see some of the cracks, the chinks in the armor coming apart at the seams a little bit. We're still holding up as much of that pressure as we possibly can, but it's a little bit of a missed shot, bounces off the post, and that allows Unity to regain, start motoring their way down the pitch, but no one there to follow up. The ball was in a perfect position. We didn't have a player ready and waiting for it, so Cosmico now regain that control, motoring their own way back down. A beautiful save makes things a little bit more heated for the Cosmico lads, and losing all of that momentum is going to make it a bit more difficult to build back into a shootable position. And with that steal, Unity start making their way back, but no, the intercept is good, and the reverse intercept. This is so back and forth.
Yeah, you want to see these quick counter-attacks, and then you look on the other end and there's another quick counter-attack and get it mounted. Forward Hilux maybe looking to string something together, but Stolzy is really coming to his own here tonight. He's just picked up that defensive play. Forward Hilux not able to score on him this time around. Forward Hilux looking for a little bit more. Has taken the 3 shots though. All right, I fly away. We finally see you. For 5 shots, finally breaks the damn wall.
Jeez, it's been a hot minute, but that's one of those moments where everything aligned exactly how it needed to be. And Cosmico have been making a lot of shots, but it's taken a very long time to finally find an opportunity, find that, chink in the armor, the place where they can drive the wedge in. But for Unity, with a minute remaining, all they now have to do is play it safe, play it careful, don't allow Cosmico too much space to work with, and they should be able to drive this one home. But perhaps Cosmico have got a little bit of a bee in their bonnet and maybe a resurgence after that first goal. Oh, but a very strong demo there is going to make it a little bit more difficult here. Now Unity, for that little moment, have to play with diminished forces and still managing to keep the ball away, throwing it down the pitch once again. Defensive line just not giving over that space. Cosmico fighting tooth and nail for every inch as we now go under 30 seconds.
Yeah, and you see forward Hilux, he takes a shot. When he rotates out, he wants to look for bumps or demos, try and kind of clear the line for his teammates. They're doing everything in their playbook just to try, inch closer to a goal here. But, Unity, they're not allowing anything here tonight. 3-1. They are winning game 3, and it's looking darn good. And they've pulled their magic, their voodoo, their whatever they have out of the hat here tonight. They are looking to force this draw here. It goes down. Mzanja Magic, they're your winners. Game 3, we are going the distance.
Oh, Stolzy. 2 epic saves, according to the little stat line there, and 3 goals to boot. Absolute hero for the team in this game. An 810 score. I think that might be the highest score that I've seen so far. That's a very, very impressive performance here. Of all of the shots that were taken, 5 of them were his, the vast majority. And you can actually see how much control there was because Cosmico didn't make a single save. And this wasn't a case of like, oh, we're kind of battling tooth and nail in the enemy half and eventually we kind of find our way in. This was Unity just slam dunking those first 3 goals. And finally Cosmico woke up and finally they kind of kept the ball out of their half. But at that point it became a little too late.
Yeah, these are the great fixtures as well you want to see from these mid-table teams, right? Because maybe you're not going to be able to get first and second, but you have to scare any team that you might face in the play-ins, right? And so this is kind of like a quote-unquote scrim against Cosmico. How well can we do? Can we batter against the best of the best in the elite tier? And Unity, they've come to play. We saw that 1-0 victory prior to this. Now we've seen a dub coming out from them. Is the stocks are going upward here? Do they win game 4? I don't want to jinx anybody, but I like what I'm seeing.
Oh yes, Stonks almost certainly on the rise here, but it's the last game of this series, and at the very best Unity can hope for is that tie. See now if they can make that happen. Cosmico still have an opportunity here to win out the entire series. 1 map is all it's going to take. 1 goal and a really solid defensive line. We've seen them do it before. Can they replicate that now? But Unity all over them, looking for not only the win, but also a little bit of style points, a little bit of bragging rights to be able to take a solid 2 maps off of one of the teams who are potentially the favorites in this entire tier at this point. So it would be a really solid one for them. The time will tell. We now find ourselves once again up in the air. No real control garnered just yet, but slowly inching our way closer.
Yeah, Ford was up in there earlier and he wanted to try get it. One of those early goals that he's famous for at this point, I fly away. Maybe looking for the same as well, but Capello gonna just be strong once again on defense. Yeah, keeping them out as well. Good little touch from Stolze onto the wall as well. Maybe this is gonna be great for Unity. Little touch coming out there from our fly away. Good catch by Tubbsy, and Tubbsy gonna run it up the side as well. Can he beat out Ford? He's gonna look for the bump play. Ford actually wants to keep this out. Maybe it's loose for Cosmico and good for Unity. Capello though not gonna be able to bring that one down, and so Mzansi Magic just really doing well against Cosmico here deep in the series, and not going to be able to force out the win. But I love the attitude coming out from these players, the grit and resilience from them. So good to see here. Tubbsy running it up. He does have Stolze though, looking for the bump or a pass and play. Good intentions from them, but out back to Forward. Hilux demo there on to Capello. Stolze out to the right, and yeah, Unity just always threatening, always being there.
For now, that's all that they really need to do. Really great ball handling there from Capello as well, getting it closer and closer. But again, timing just not on their side to get somebody in position to play off of it and to make sure that it does turn out to be a goal at the end of the day. The layup is there, bounces off the goalpost, and Ford Hilux is just a little bit too far away. Can't be that savior, and a golden opportunity is snaked away from them. Now Ford Hilux will start to make a little bit more space over towards the other side of the pitch, but it does get intercepted once again. We bounce back and forth we go. Looking to find those openings. That was such a solid moment where Cosmico could have given themselves the advantage. Unfortunately, it gets stripped away from them, and now we go back into that kind of awkward no man's land battle of attrition, looking to find that opening.
It's good to see how Unity are just controlling everything. Nice little touchdown there from a flyaway, but caught on that midway line, the Unity not allowing them to gain any further steps here on the pitch as well. Kind of a soft shot there from Stolze coming out. He just wants to test the defense. Want to see if Luna is still awake here in game 4 as well. Capello's going to run this up as well. Double commit on the corner there from Cosmico. Really do not want Unity to push anything forward here as well. Bit of desperation coming up from them. Maybe we're going to see if anyone's going to force the OT there as well. Forward Hilux also wants to try and get the aerial play to come down as well. Move touch from Tubbs is going to be good, but kept out. Luna defense, Stolze's defense, everyone's defense here. Of course, it's elite tier, so we know it's going to be really A-rated, maybe AAA, from we've seen in this series. And around the bend here goes Cosmico. Tubbsy with the control. He's going to get a flick over there, but Wheeler with the catch. And yeah, it's a deadlock, Sam.
Neither one of these teams willing to give an inch. It's the last game of the series, as we said, and it looked like Wheeler might have found an opening there. No! Beautiful save, but it goes awry. It bounces right off of the goalpost, and honestly, beautiful performance from Cosmico to just make sure that they're there, that they're following up. You're not kind of getting overconfident thinking, yeah, I've got it in, I can go chill somewhere else. No, you got to follow it. You got to be one with the golden retriever and make sure that you are following that ball to its absolute end. And Cosmico finally, with just over a minute remaining, will get the first goal of this final game of the series. But Unity, we look now for an answer back. And one of the things I wanted to comment on was there's been some really solid positioning between the players on these two teams. Like, they're always generally they're in a really good position to play off of one another, but it feels like there's a little bit of a struggle in the follow-up, in the kind of late moments when you're getting closer and closer to finally getting that score in, and you've got a teammate that's just not quite in the position that you need them to be. But so far, when it comes to the defensive line, they are in perfect position. Round after round. That's unfortunate. I think they may have just blocked themselves.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just love Unity. They just throw in those shots and they want to see what's going to stick as well. They can slow down the play. They can get their control back. We've seen kind of so much promise coming out from them, Zanzi Magic team. If Cosmico happen to win here by 1 goal, that's going to be fine by them. They've had a stellar season, and 3-1 would just really be that fairy tale ending for them. To be a good finish. So I don't know if Unity are going to keep this up. They are not. And so there we go. Cosmico, Luna, they get that dub. It's 3-1. Stellar season from them. Absolutely cherry on the top of the season. But Unity, they came back, they had a good fight, and they kept them to 1. And like I said, I think that bodes really well for their play-ins.
Yeah, it's a really exciting one, I think, for them to not have to go with the draw, but to have actually won out entirely. They were already positioned really well, as you said, but with that little bit of an extra boost, that should pretty much confirm them that top 2 spot. So they're going to be feeling super confident. Of course, that's their last game for the season until we get into those, those final games at the end. So, rest on their laurels a little bit and get a little bit comfortable. Now it's my turn to get comfortable. So we're going to bring in Rhino. I say comfortable. He's probably going to put me on the spot, and that's going to be really uncomfortable. But, when he's done doing that, it'll all be good.
When I'm done doing that, you've got another game to cast, Sam. So I don't know what you're thinking.
That's the comfortable part. What do you mean?
That's fair. That's very fair. But I mean, what a series we had. Lovely way to round out the elite division. Of course, there are still a few things to be decided. I do want to come to you first, Sam, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but hopefully the question will, bring it around. I get the feeling, certainly in those first 2 games, Unity didn't really feel like a game that was actually fighting for their place in the semi-finals until really that game 3. What do you think changed in between game 2 and 3 where they suddenly came alive?
Well, I think that it's tough to say, right? Because obviously at the start of game 2, you're kind of feeling like, okay, if we win the next 3, we can win the series. So there's kind of like a little bit of a resurgence in that sense. And then you get so close and there's a point where you could kind of snap. Right, you've got 1-0 and you could just kind of, we tried so hard, what is even the point now? But instead, they power through that. They break through that potential mental wall and they have an absolutely outstanding second game. And you start to realize, well, we could still tie this up. We could still come through with a really solid result. Unfortunately, it didn't end up going that way, but man, did they put on a solid performance in that last map. It took Cosmico an eternity to get that one and only goal that ended up being the winning thing for them. So I think that the turnaround started actually in game number 2, but it took a little bit too long to activate.
Yeah.
Right. That makes a lot of sense, absolutely. And yeah, it was the second time actually in the series that Cosmico were able to win 1-0. Of course, they won game 4 only in a 1-0 stanza as well. But Muzz, this is a Cosmico team that looked to be running on a lot of momentum and a lot of confidence. And they're going to gain a lot of confidence after that 3-1 victory right there.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, right? They've had a stellar season. They've had wins up until this point, and Unity now is then the 4th win on the trot after the draws they had as well. So, yeah, Rhino, just absolutely stocks are high. They've done incredibly well. We saw forward Hilux picking up that hat trick, things that, Flyaway came in, had the clutch moments. Ryan Senpei, Wheelu clutch moments as well. I think, Luna, things are looking good. They've only got Ox Gaming ahead of them as well. So obviously Urox, being the kind of that other very stellar team here in Elite. But yeah, I mean, Cosmico, just the whole franchise, everyone's just, doing what they need to do.
They certainly are, and with that victory, Cosmico have all but guaranteed their spot in the semi-finals next week, taking that 2nd place. They just need to hope that Death Cloud Miasma don't sweep Azura Gaming. That one's coming up at the top of the hour, and if we get word about that result, we will let you know. But we are going to switch gear and we're going to switch tier as we move down into the rival tier for the 2nd game of the night. But we do stick with an organization. We are going to stick with Cosmico. It's their Celestial roster taking on Death Cloud Shock, and we can take a look at the standings right there in front of you. Another tier where Cosmico are absolutely smashing it, a little bit more so on this one, currently top of the table, and will finish first with a sweep. That will be guaranteed if they do bring that through. However, they are still within touching distance of 4th if results don't go their way. Meanwhile, the 2nd team, it's a bit put up or shut up for Death Cloud Shock, currently in 5th, but there are so many teams around them that could take their play-in spot. Azura in 6th have the same wins. They're just losing right now by goal difference, and 7th, 8th, and 9th all have 1 win less than Death Cloud have right now. So, Sam, it feels like this game is a little bit more important for the Death Cloud side than it is Cosmico.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, that, there will always be one team that's maybe a little bit more invested in a game than another for whatever reason there might be. And it just so happens that we've got a team that's a lot more invested, because it's not just a case of, like, in our previous game, it was like, well, who gets to go through all the way and who has to play in the play-in? Much of a muchness, really. We know that they're more than likely both going to be advancing in one form or another. But in this instance, it's all about survival for Death Cloud. Can they actually stay alive in this tournament, in this competition? Can they actually, as you said, put up, or are they going to be forced to shut up? And unfortunately, they're now coming up against the strongest team in this tier, and that puts them in a really uncomfortable position. If you've taken on the top team in week 1, sweet, wash your hands. You don't have to worry about that for the rest of the season, and your results for the rest of the season have a little bit more leeway. But at this point, when it's do or die, and now you're going up against the Titan, could be a bit of a tough one.
Yeah, it really could. Muzz, I just want to come to you quickly. We also have to bear in mind that Cosmico aren't indomitable. They've got 2 losses on their record on the season. And if they don't show up with a mindset to win this game, things could still go wrong for them. They will be in the playoffs, there's no doubt about that. But whether they'll secure their spot in the semi-finals by default is still up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, I think Shock are the hungry dog here, right? They have absolutely everything to win, Rhino. And so, yeah, I think Celestial can be incredibly scared of what these next 4 games look like, right? Yeah, Shock had a tough season, but there's nothing to lose tonight. They can go absolutely crazy on the pitch tonight, and I'm ready for that.
We'll see if they do let themselves get unleashed, or if Death Cloud can bring it back. It is our second game of the evening. We're in rival tier, and it is a big one. Top of the table, Cosmico Celestial versus fighting for their lives, Death Cloud Shock. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Rhino. I mean, we call it the rival tier, Muzz, but does this feel like much of a rivalry to you?
Shay, but yeah, I mean, Death Cloud, yeah, they've got everything to fight for here. It has to go down tonight. They've got a string of draws behind their name. I mean, I suppose maybe that's a good thing. They did not lose.
Yeah.
But just they weren't doing enough to win, right? And so just kind of, 4 or 5 draws on the trot is tough to see, because they've had that type of season. The roster is there, but it's kind of not enough. And on the other end, Cosmico just, they've had a stellar time. They're first right now. And so, yeah, David and Goliath story in front of us.
Yeah, well, we all know who won that story, so
We do.
We'll see if that comes to fruition here for us, or if it is unfortunately a little bit more of a telegraphed story. I will say, there are a lot of these types of stories where you can try and draw analogies, and somehow it's always the underdog that wins. The gods versus the Titans, David versus Goliath, and somehow it's always the underdog. And I'm a big underdog supporter, but the way things have been going, this season, I think that Cosmico, it's going to be a tough call. I do love, it kind of feeding into what you were saying previously about how they've had all of these draws, it tells me that this is a very competitive tier, and that's really great to see. If you have one of those situations where you've got 1 or 2 teams that are just smashing everyone and everything else is like a little bit one-sided and there doesn't seem to be a lot of competition, it's not really that entertaining to watch, all things considered. So this might be one of the more entertaining tiers that we have, and for a multitude of reasons. But the great entertainment now, of course, is going to be seeing if Death Cloud can mount the insurmountable. Can they actually make this miracle happen for themselves? And again, Cosmico, I was singing their praises a little bit earlier on, but this is an organization with an eye for talent that's skrik for niks.
Yeah, I mean, they're not scared. And it's important for Shock to get this right. Death Cloud are second in franchise standings. And so, they definitely, it would be great to upset the apple cart here as well. So if you're a Shock fan, if you're a Death Cloud fan in chat, make some noise, because, of course, you do want to beat out Cosmico tonight. Celestial, is it going to be written in the stars? Maybe, Sam? Could be.
I mean, I do find that interesting, right? We got Cosmico and Clouds, and I mean, there's a lot of imagery going on in this matchup. Yeah. But let's jump straight into it. Pie in the sky, or are our dreams truly reachable? It's Cosmico versus Death Cloud, dark purple versus light purple. That's not going to get confusing at all. Which purple is superior? Let's find out.
Yeah, I think Bromeo said a couple weeks back, he's like, we've got 3 purple franchises this season. So, yeah, it's been peachy for 8 weeks.
Oh, well. Ooh, Lord above. Okay, that got a little bit hairy, and kind of keeping that pressure up as far as possible. But, ooh, we found a gap in the defensive line. So much space not being taken. Okay, that's a stunner of a goal. Really did kind of snake their way through the defenders and managed to lay that up beautifully. First goal, and of course, it's Cosmico.
Yeah, and I saw kind of Rex and Joshi CPT there, the double commit. They're just not really able to deal with CBK. And so, yeah, as you say, Cosmico doing exactly what the French has been doing all season round. And they open the scoring here in the rival tier, which is great to see. And let's see how the rest of the game one's going to go down as well here. You can see CBK get the decent touch of the ball there as well, and DeathCloud looking to run it up here, but Jack's gonna hold this one, and we've got obviously Pepito in the lobby, and he's one of our general managers. Oh, that almost went stunningly in.
Ooh, getting a lot of very close shaves here for both of these two teams, it feels like. Now there's a moment now, just a slight possibility for respite, a breath of fresh air. Good lord, what are these demos? Space being taken, but space snatched back away. The ball starts making its way down the pitch, but will get intercepted. We can try and find an opening, a possibility, thread that needle one more time. But DeathCloud trying very hard to close the gaps that had become so imminent before, and that's a perfect example of it. It looked like that was just about to go in. But they managed to keep that pressure up a little bit more, keep the defensive line going, and deny that goal from coming to fruition. Now it's DeathCloud who are a little bit more in that driving seat. But Cosmico keep pushing back, keep pushing forward, and Jack, with nary an opponent in sight, slams it straight through the goalposts for a second.
Yeah, and Pepito finds the best pass. Maybe he's going to find the whole entire season, right? Decent pass to the midfield there, gets Jack. Jack's completely open. Two DeathCloud players there, kind of both getting beat. And so, yeah, Cosmico doing stellar work here. Joshi off the kickoff, almost there, would have worked in his favor. But Pepito and Rex, though, as well, coming in there for DeathCloud, almost doing a stellar job there. But Cosmico up by 2, always looking good, always looking strong at the moment. They're actually a second man for Cosmico, almost finding that third down. Would have been a dodgy defense from DeathCloud as well here, but yeah, Cosmico 2 to the good.
It's a really solid lead to have for yourself, especially when we're getting closer and closer to that 2-minute line. And well, we'll just make it a third just for good measure. There was no one there, man. He had all the space in the world, just ran it straight down mid. Where were DeathCloud? Nowhere to be found. May have been a bit of a boost issue. Couldn't get themselves enough momentum to close that gap. Give Cosmico an inch. They will certainly take a mile. Up to 3 now. 2.5 minutes remain. And DeathCloud with a serious bit of legwork that needs to be done in this map to bring them back into a contestable possession. So we'll start by taking that early control here up in the sky, but it's stolen away from them. DeathCloud doing well to try and keep that pressure up as far as possible, though.
Yeah, we've seen in the past where Sora does incredibly well to score these goals here for the DeathCloud team as well, and Josh CPT as well, you know, has those moments. And so, you know, maybe a bit of a bad game one for DeathCloud. We know they can bring it back and come back, and so, you know, we need to see that the rotations do improve and they're not all kind of throwing all 3 players up over the halfway line and getting caught, you know, at the back, really in the most awkward of positions. And so let's see if DeathCloud can bring it back. And of course, you know, the game ain't done just yet, and so maybe there's going to be one for the road coming out from DeathCloud. We see if Rax here can string something together as well. He does move it forward. Sora maybe cutting him out of the play though, maybe coming and saying I would like to grab possession of this well. Out to Joshi, out to Sora, gets it over one. Actually, Josh is looking to cause a bit of trouble, maybe a bit of a flick coming out there from Sora, and Rax to finish the job.
That was cheeky. What Sora does here is amazing. Slows down the momentum, and it feels like Cosmico kind of fall for it a little bit. There's a little bit of revving there, looking like he might just try and, you know, take the gap, and we see some kind of wheezy cars flying overhead, looking to see, oh, where can we intercept, but instead he slows things down. Slowly starts making his way towards the goalpost, and we get the opportunity there to snake it in. DeathCloud finally on the board here, showing some signs of life, but it's going to take a lot more. We still need at least 2 more goals just to get us into overtime possibility. And if they allow Cosmico to keep pressure up to this extent, they may not be given the opportunity. We're blocking a little bit here, trying to find that space for Pete. Oh, it's not quite going to go where they want it to be, but it is ticking down the timer that little bit more, denying DeathCloud the space that they need to keep going for more goals. And this is all Cosmico need to be doing at this point, just buying that time, playing for that positioning, playing for making sure that DeathCloud can't get a single extra goal to their names. And well, if we can get another one for the sake of style points, then why on earth not? DeathCloud certainly not going to be looking to allow that one.
Yeah, Rex doing something good here as well. He's driving it up. Maybe Josh is going to be able to catch this one. Oh, okay, no one from DeathCloud wants this ball, it would seem as well. Hot Lava and Pepito with the catch out to Jack. Nice little punt into the corner here. Maybe it's going to come down. Maybe they're going to pick up a fourth here as well. And Rex has to clear this out. So does Josh here. And unfortunately, DeathCloud, though, with the time left on, can be able to pick up 2. And so game 1 not going their way as well. Pepito and the gang doing incredibly well. Win here by 2. And clock ticking down. Maybe they need to see what they can get for the road. The ball hasn't been killed just yet. There it is. Cosmico, Celestial, game 1.
There you go. Quite a dominant one there. Those first 3 goals, very quick succession. But much like in that previous game, it takes a little while for the opponents to find that rhythm, to find their footing in the match. And we started seeing a much stronger defensive line that ended up in finally getting a goal for DeathCloud. So maybe we'll see a similar resurgence as we head into game number 2, and maybe we'll see them kind of put up a stronger showing, because of course this is just the first map of the series. And so we'll see now if they have what it takes to get a little bit more done.
Yeah, and I mean, you were kind of looking at the 55 touches earlier. Well, Pepito says, I'll raise you, I'll get 69.
Nice.
And Jack, yeah, exactly right. Just shows you that involvement and how, well he can do in the rival tier here as well. So Cosmico, 3-1, great start. We saw full team participation there, 1 goal each, 2 assists coming out from Pepito. Decent play there. But caught, DeathCloud caught awkwardly. Often those rotations not being great, not back on defense. No one found there, just open gaps that could be probed by the Cosmico team. And let's see if things are going to get a little bit tighter for DeathCloud. Let's see what those rotations look like. Let's see if Sora's maybe not cutting out his teammates, or how intentional those comms looked. Obviously, we don't hear those at all. But yeah, DeathCloud, we know they can do it, but they need to show us.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we were talking about. Well, I was talking about a little bit in the previous matchup as well, right? How good the spacing was between those 2 teams. And you really do need to find a way to be everywhere all at once. And that's the mark of a really good drilled team, is the ability to kind of have eyes everywhere and have presence everywhere and be able to respond at the drop of a hat. But here we go, game number 2. And already we're seeing a strong display from the Cosmico lads. DeathCloud can try and regain some of that control. But again, players not really where they need to be. So Cosmico very quickly regain that control. We start to see some presence from DeathCloud. We see them getting a little bit more involved in these scuffles, but it's still very much a DeathCloud ball.
Yeah, and we've seen Cornflakes has come onto the field here as well, so DeathCloud feeling they need to make a change, they need to bring the sub on as well. This is an important fixture for them, they need to get the win, and what can Cornflakes bring to the party? We're going to see how that goes down. He's already running up this right-hand flank, but Pepito cuts it out, gets past Rex, and so this is dangerous territory. Cornflakes has to clear that one, and Pepito, he's going to be able to score if you give him a tiny opportunity to do so, and that almost happened for the Cosmico team here as well. Pepito again with the good catch, he's going to run it all the way upfield, he's going to get another one. He's going to be able to get in the opener once again.
Oh, that's devastating. I mean, they had a player there, but unfortunately moves forward, but nothing really to kind of propel him. Didn't really have much boost available, and there was realistically not very much that could be done. So first goal, once again, goes in favor of Cosmico. They draw first blood for the 2nd time in this series. And once you get that first cut, it becomes so difficult to staunch the bleeding. So DeathCloud now with, the knowledge, the weight of having lost that first game, knowing they've conceded the first goal. Can they rally themselves that little bit more? Can they find an opportunity here? We're seeing a lot more pressure from them, so at least they've got that bit of space to work with, but now we need the follow-up.
Yeah, and I want to see kind of what can DeathCloud do when they hold onto the ball as well, because we see CBK so quick there to counter them, win the 50s, etc. And, kind of maybe DeathCloud being sometimes a bit too slow maybe on their counter attacks, and so allowing Cosmico to get those players in their face here as well. What's Papito gonna be able to do? Can he get the flick over Cornflake and Sora? They're both to clear that ball, but Cosmico, don't give them this much space, right? Because they can score on you incredibly quickly. And still holding the position game. Yes, CBK holding it down. Sora wants to get rid of this ball here as well. It's going to go a little bit shy to the left, and Rax has to control this ball. Control, that's what I want to see. He's going to take it to the air. I want to see him be able to aerial it the whole way across though. Sora, nice little catch. He wants to slow this down. Can't get over Jack though, and Jack's going to be able to clear this one. But Rax, again, possession of Death Cloud. Sora passing it back here. Papito though is hanging around. There's no offsides in Rocket League, and so Papito can do this. He's going to be able to score from the heavens. Maybe he can do so. Oh, incredibly close. I didn't get that second touch.
We're certainly seeing a much stronger defensive line here from Death Cloud, but maybe relying a little bit too much on individual prowess to keep the ball out of their half. We need to see a bit more of the coordination to allow them to actually get a goal in, because it's just constantly on the back foot at this point. Not really gathering the momentum, the speed, the positioning that they need to finally start putting points on the board. Maybe now as they start finding that little bit of space, but look at how Death Cloud, or rather how Cosmico are so on top of them, always close to the ball, always close to one another, and in the blink of an eye, they regain control of the ball. Now we get a little bit of those heroics once again as Death Cloud get a bit more of that control, start moving it down the pitch, start getting closer and closer. But without that support, Cosmico again steal it away from right underneath their noses. This is going to be a very, very tough battle for Death Cloud if they can't find a way to play off of each other and actually start scoring those goals.
Yeah, I like the fact that Cornflakes was there stopping Jack, right? So he kind of understands that Jack is kind of going in. Oh, maybe a flick over. There it is. Defensive prowess to offensive prowess. Cornflakes goes coast to coast, and yeah, great goal from him.
Yeah, literally, I mean, it felt like Papito should have had that, but unfortunately just a little bit too far to the side and can't quite get the connection that he needs. And as you said, right, coast to coast, literally from Narnia all the way across the pitch, exactly what Death Cloud needed. But again, it's that individual prowess. Sure, they did well to bait the entirety of Cosmico all the way across the field, but it took that one player to make that space a possibility and to shoot true and straight and get that goal through. I'll be honest, I still don't have that faith that you really need to have. And with 40 seconds remaining, well, how much of a difference will it make in this particular game? Cosmico want to get that second goal, want to deny any sort of a possibility of an overtime, and we can see now how the pressure is starting to build that little bit more. And we're also seeing the return from Death Cloud as they battle back. And they're playing a lot more with each other now. Maybe they've heard me, but we're seeing a slightly better formation from them. But unfortunately, Cosmico, as I say that, they got the control, but Death Cloud managing to keep things a little bit more spicy.
Yeah, I'm wondering, does it work out for Death Cloud if they force the OT here as well? Because Cosmico could, very easily and quickly get their golden goal. So we're going to see how that goes down. But of course, we head in very quickly here towards OT. There it is, overtime. And, Papito's done very well to get the demos in the box. He got rid of Cornflakes just now, almost when Cosmico could score. And so, he just wants to make sure he can clear that defense. There must be no Death Cloud player in front of the box here as well. But Sora up the right-hand flank. He's going to get it over one. Can he dribble underneath their feet? He can do so, but CBK and Jack, though, decent defense on that near post as well. Jack getting past one. Cornflakes at the back here. And Sora, incredibly close. They're almost Cosmico squeaking it in on that right-hand side of the box. Maybe Jack looking for the touch. Oh, it's kept out and incredibly close at Death Cloud. Do you have an open edge at the back? CBK is going to be able to control it here on his defensive rotation.
But for how much longer? Death Cloud very much on top of them. It looks like Sora might have managed to get that control. You see Cornflakes tapping it back towards the rest of his teammates, but Jack is there to disallow that forward momentum, and it is very much back and forth. It's intercept after intercept. He gets so close to potential goal, but still not quite finding the space. So we continue around and around we go. Well over a minute now into overtime, and it doesn't look like either of these two teams has garnered much control just yet, but we're so close. But Peter has managed to find the control. My God, it bounces off the net, And that gives the control back over to Deathcloud. Cosmico mere inches from winning. And off the back of that, it's Cornflakes again with his second goal of the series. Blasts his way past Pepito, over the top and straight into the net.
Well, there we go. You bring in your bench player, impact player comes in, Cornflakes gets the winner. Very important OT winner there as well. And we almost saw Pepito getting his own goal and finding a Cosmico player there in that passage of play prior. But yeah, well done. Deathcloud, they get it. So we draw up the series at the moment here, 1 apiece. And yeah, rival tier, making things spicy.
Yeah, it's exactly what we love to see. And it's awesome that at this point we still don't know who might just take the series. We were talking a little bit earlier about, what happened in the previous Cosmico game where, they won the first 2 and it looked like there was a resurgence in map number 2, but it took a little bit too long to finally activate. It wasn't until map 3 that we really started to see those signs of life. So it's really a great sign for Deathcloud that on map number 2, they've been able to snake that win under their belts. And with that little bit of a boost in confidence, not only the fact that they won this map, but also the fact that it had to go all the way to overtime and they didn't allow the pressure to get to them. In fact, when it looked like there was a goal that was about to just kind of put all their hopes and dreams to rest, they were able to not only stop that from happening, but to pivot off of it and to translate that into a goal of their own, securing themselves the series. So that's got to be the kind of mental boon that you take with you into map number 3. And that's what they really need to be relying on here if they're going to be looking to win this third match.
Yeah, it just takes one player on your team, right, to kind of rally everyone, kind of let's go back to basics. What can we do to stay calm? And Deathcloud, they stayed incredibly calm there. Cornflakes, maybe he's calling the shots, maybe Sora is. And yeah, it came in clutch. They got that golden goal, forcing Cosmico's hand here. And so heading into game 3, 1 apiece, things are looking good. Deathcloud, as we mentioned, when we looked at those franchise kind of points, they want to disrupt Cosmico. They want to make sure that the other purple team is not number 1. And here we go, heading into game 3.
Already some early control garnered. Pepito looking to try and score an early goal, but to be allowed, I think this is still a little case of poking and prodding and feeling things out a little bit, seeing where the teams are and if they're still looking and feeling confident off of that last win.
A very kind of straight to the ceiling shot there by Pepito as well. Nothing on the target, and I don't think CBK came in, to do so either. Maybe Jack, he's not got too much beans in the tank either. Is he going to be able to steal the 100? No 100 canister there for him either, and he's going to pick up the midfield one here as well. But Deathcloud, they're doing well. Kind of little small moments from Cosmico where they want to, as you mentioned, poke and prod against Deathcloud. But yeah, nothing great for them here at the start of game 3. And it's good to see Deathcloud finding their kind of venom and just keeping them at bay.
Deathcloud indeed. This is what we love to see. We talk a lot about the mental of Deathcloud and how, winning out that game in an overtime fashion, maybe that's given them the boon that they need to propel them forwards. Cosmico, on the other hand, maybe they're feeling a little bit dejected after that one. That being said, we're still seeing a lot of solid plays, a lot of solid, control attempts here. Not really giving up too much just yet. I think that if Cosmico were well and truly dejected, then by this point, Deathcloud may yet have already scored a goal for themselves. So good to see that we're keeping the mental strong. No one's given up just yet. There's still a possibility here for a series win for either of these two teams. Nothing is decided just yet, at least in terms of this series. Of course, we've spoken a little bit about how important this series is for Deathcloud and how much it would mean to them to be able to take this, not just in terms of the pride points, but also it gives them an opportunity to make sure that they can secure their spot in the playoff bracket. So we focus back in here. And of course, I've had a little bit of an opportunity to talk a bit more about the stakes because it is, again, a bit more of a back and forth affair with neither one of the teams showing too much control, too much aggression, I suppose. We're not seeing that same kind of pressure. It's almost feeling a little bit casual at the moment. We're not seeing the bloodlust that we'd seen in the previous 2 matches.
Yeah, no kind of shots being goalwood, nothing really promising being laid down just yet. Yeah, Pepito with the standard catch as well, double from Deathcloud, and Joshi and Sora, they're both trying to keep up Pepito there as well. They kind of understand that Pepito can be dangerous behind the ball, and so make sure you get the double commit there, keep them out. Pepito maybe looking for another one for the road though. Jake almost finding the dunk onto Sora. Sora doing stellar work to keep them out. Sora once again keep them out, backed up there by Cornflakes. And so yeah, 0-0, and DeathCloud really just making sure that Cosmico have no leg to stand on at the moment. Check Cornflakes with that catch is going to send it all the way upfield straight to Pepito's hands as well. Maybe kind of control the ball a little bit more here. Jake though, oh my word, 2/3 over. Maybe it's gonna come on something. Oh man, nothing able to get across the line there. Oh man, hearts in our throats.
Oh, throats, boots, a variety of different places where your heart could have gone at that point, but unfortunately it didn't go in the goalpost. A second opportunity now, not for DeathCloud, or for Cosmico rather, but for DeathCloud, that managed to return, bring the ball all the way to the other side of the pitch, lay it up perfectly for Joshi. And there it is, the first goal of match number 3 goes in favor of DeathCloud, and with 1:30 remaining, they have more than enough time to keep hold, especially if Cosmico continue looking the way that they have in this matchup. They really have looked a little bit like a dog that's being kicked, but maybe now we'll start to see a little bit more of those signs of life, as we already have that control into the DeathCloud half, and we are all over this ball, not looking to let it slip away from us again. It's looking a little bit uncomfortable, but we're just trying to change trajectory, trying to get that ball closer to the goalpost, but Cornflakes has control, snaked away once again. Cosmico had the control for a moment, but DeathCloud are just constantly on top of them and not giving them room to breathe. Look at the DeathCloud forces as they sit in that goalpost, in or near, making sure that nothing is making its way in there. Nothing is going to stop them from getting this 2-1 scoreline. With 30 seconds remaining, Cosmico, what are you going to do now, guys?
Yeah, I mean, Pepito and Jake really just so much passage of play there where they're stringing everything together. Can I get it, a dunk? Can there be a waterfall? Can I find a second man? Can Pepito get a bump here in the box? Just so much happened there for Cosmico, and they did not get into the back of the box there, DeathCloud. And so DeathCloud, you're doing so well, right? You're just holding them at bay. You're making sure that they are not going to find the equalizer here as well. Oh, okay, there we go. Well, you cannot find an equalizer when it's 2 to the good and Cornflakes scores like that.
Oh, dearie me. Okay. 2-0 now for DeathCloud. Cornflakes is having a really great day, it seems. And this is looking like it may just be DeathCloud going 2-1 up in the series with 4 seconds remaining. All they need to do is keep it up in the sky and let it touch ground. And there it is. No one from Cosmico available to try and keep that ball up in the sky. Cornflakes did so much. I'm sorry, 27 cars bumped? Guys, this is Rocket League. It's not bumper cars.
Yeah, I think, Cornflakes kind of wakes up in the morning, he throws his cornflakes with a bowl of Slayer, and then he mixes it together and he says, that's exactly how I want to play Rocket League. But yeah, kudos there to DeathCloud. Great 2-0 victory over Cosmico. We need an upset. We can't, look at 3 Cosmico series tonight, thanks Greybeard, and not have any upsets. And so yeah, DeathCloud, bring the upsets.
That's what we love to see. I mean, we spoke about the whole David and Goliath thing. We really kind of laid it on thick at the beginning of this particular matchup. And so far, it has delivered. But there's still a whole nother match that needs to be played. Cosmico can certainly pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And this is something that I was saying in the cast itself, but it has been a little bit of a concern for me because they started to look a little bit muted in that third map. The pressure wasn't quite as intense as what we'd seen in the first 2 maps, and I'm not too sure what that was. How the game very often starts in that kind of pokey party, feeling each other out, and it felt like they never left that phase. And there was, to be fair, they did well to make sure that it wasn't some kind of crazy runaway victory for DeathCloud, but we're not seeing that bloodlust. We're not seeing the Rottweiler, the Doberman, whatever the case is. We're not seeing that now. And there needs to be a resurgence here from Cosmico if they want to walk away with at least an evened out scoreline. Otherwise, they're going to get handed an L here.
Yeah, well, listen, everyone's got to take an L every now and again. And I think, Cosmico, they probably might have earned an L tonight, at least here in the rival tier as well. CBK almost, doing well there, but Sora, and I think it's come down to in this series at least is this defense from DeathCloud has been incredible, right? They've been able to hold their own. It doesn't matter what kind of Cosmico throw together, whether you see it's Papito from the heavens or, Jack bringing it around the bend or trying to find a second man in a better position than himself. It's just DeathCloud are standing so strong and just ever presence there in that defensive third and box of theirs. And Cosmico just they need to maybe bring those demos back, absolutely obliterate a couple players here, do some sneaky plays. I don't know, I haven't seen too many flip resets and kind of musties or anything kind of nutty come out, but yeah, Cosmico, kind of all the teeth are gone.
Yeah, I think we also got to give some flowers to DeathCloud. I've been the first one that's been saying Cosmico look a little bit worse for wear, but DeathCloud have certainly looked a lot better as the series has gone on. I always joke about how match 1 is a warm-up. Perhaps that was indeed the case here for DeathCloud as they really started to kind of come into their own as this has gone on. And I was talking a lot about their positioning and how it kind of warranted or left rather a lot to be desired. And it seems they've kind of tightened that up a little bit. Look at how they kind of moving in a perfect V shape as they dribble the ball all the way down the pitch here, but unfortunately not given that opportunity, not giving the space. They return, they pull back, oh god, it hits the post, but there's a layup there, not quite gonna land its way in, unfortunately. And all that control that they'd garnered, Cosmico managed to steal it back in their favor. It's a little bit awkward now. We're a little bit off to the side, trying to bring it back into a center position, trying to bring it back into a space where we can actually go for a shot. But again, it's DeathCloud constantly in their faces, constantly in their way and denying them those opportunities.
Yeah, Cornflakes, they're just shy of the post as well. Straight back to Papito. What can he be able to do? He's been, had a stellar game 1 as well. Papito and the gang doing incredibly well for Cosmico. Jack having a bit of a soft touch there, but Sora, Reunion Islander, just doing so well. I don't know, the French seem to be good at Rocket League for some reason. It's a language thing, it's a cultural thing, who knows? And Cornflakes up this left-hand flanker, CBK just kind of shadowing and seeing what's going to happen, bringing around the bed. Maybe it's going to come down! Well, that is exactly what's going to happen. It's Sora.
Oh, that's devastating for the Cosmico squad, but DeathCloud are going to be screaming from the rooftops. A stunning but very, very skin of their teeth goal. DeathCloud will take the lead now in this series, not just in terms of, the matches, but the fact that they now go 1-0 up in goals, and they're one step closer to winning out this series and making the Cinderella run a possibility. They've garnered so much space off the kickoff here as well. Looked like maybe they were just going to scream it straight down into the goalpost, but not going to be allowed as DeathCloud start to mount that defense once again. We were so quick to react, so quick to respond, and despite how much pressure Cosmico are starting to return now, it's predominantly defensive pressure. DeathCloud seem to have their run of the game so far. I'm going to turn this into a little bit of a battle in the midfield. Ooh. Because neither one are looking to give an inch.
Oh man, Joshi, that would have been such a nice shot as well, but didn't land the way he would have wanted to. Oh, Papito almost causing trouble there. Once again, that bump play almost came to fruition as well. Yeah, so Cosmico on the attack. What's going to happen? Papito maybe looking for the dunk as well. Won't get the second touch. CBK neither, and Joshi keeping them at bay, keeping them out. And yeah, just when you think that Cosmico, want to kick DeathCloud down that well. It's going to be the other way around here. We've got light purple Leonidas doing that to the Cosmico team here, and CBK with the control. But DeathCloud, they just are not failing at the back.
Low and slow, guys. You got to start low and slow, and then you got to just hit that accelerator at just the right time. Less than a minute remaining, and this has got to be that time for Cosmico. We've got to see them wake up, go for the shoot. But Cornflakes is there. Denies it, stops it in its tracks. Cosmico now forced to have to reset. Playing off each other once again, moving slowly and surely further towards the goalpost. Ball goes a little bit awry there, trying to lay it up for CBK, but again, just a little bit too high on the kick. Starting to move closer once again, trying to set up for that beautiful position, but no, DeathCloud continue to be a thorn, a spanner in the works that stops them from finding that space. Down to only 20 seconds remaining, and DeathCloud have now yeeted it back down the pitch, back towards their opponent's half. And this is going to make things very, very tricky for Cosmico, because with 10 seconds remaining, they need to get it back across the pitch now. They don't have time. It's not on their side. They're slowly making their way, but DeathCloud stopped them at every turn. No last second goal allowed for either one of these two teams. It's looking like as no, the ball will drop dead. It's only one goal in this match. But one goal was all they needed. 3-1, DeathCloud. Or, I apologize, David has indeed slain Goliath.
Yeah, there it is, right? And I think kind of in the pre-show we had Rhino on and everyone looked at that, rivals tier leaderboard and, DeathCloud, you're so far behind Cosmico. What's going to happen? Just has not worked out for you. And I just think, it was DeathCloud. They wanted to finish the season off strong. This is how you do it. You beat number one. You beat the big dog. And this is it, right? So 3-1 in the series score. Yeah, well done here to Shock. And have they shocked all of us?
Indeed, shock the world. But, you spoke a little bit about Rhino, and I feel like maybe we should bring him on back because, we were all pretty surprised with how that was going. It started off pretty predictably, and then things just started to take a bit of a surprising turn. Very impressive nonetheless, and hopefully this does indeed end up being exactly what DeathCloud need, that opportunity to stay in that playoff position. As we said, Cosmico weren't really in any danger. Maybe at the absolute worst, maybe it knocks them out of the top two. And I sincerely doubt that will be the end result here. So for DeathCloud, this was a breath of fresh air. It was a stay of execution, and it was a chance to continue along in the tournament. And again, as I mentioned, those pride points, the possibility to say, yeah, we did it. We beat Cosmico.
Yeah, let's see. Are we gonna we're gonna hear from production? Yeah, if we can little yap on a bit more.
There he is.
There he is. Okay, so the chief yap is here.
He certainly is, and he's forgotten to put his green screen up behind him as well. But it's fine. We got some IKEA furniture back there. Nothing you guys haven't seen before. I mean, what a series.
Bold of you to assume South Africans have seen anything from IKEA, dude.
So, that's a fair point. You guys watch Twitch. So we move on here as one of the most surprising results of the entire day. However, it's worth mentioning that I want to start with Cosmico because with that win in game number one, Sam, they took home the franchise championship. No one can catch up to them. Cosmico are locked in as the number one franchise of the season, and they're pretty good value for it, right? They've had a fantastic season across all tiers.
Yeah, absolutely. It was what I was saying at the start of the broadcast as well. The fact that they've managed to do so incredibly well in a draft league, and they've kind of maintained consistency across 4 separate tiers. And again, this is a team that excels even with their their standard roster in games like VS and whatever other tournaments are happening at any given time. They're consistently performing and putting up numbers and doing well. When I came into RSC, this was my first season of RSC ever, but I had seen a little bit of Cosmico in the past, and I looked at this and I went, yeah, this is probably, they're gonna do well. I don't know if I thought they were gonna win the whole damn thing, but I was like, yeah, this is definitely a squad to look out for. So no surprises on my end, but maybe that's just noob bias.
No, they've done incredibly well. They're very well known in the region as well, and they do take home that championship. But they don't take home the win in this series, Muzz. And I want to talk to you about DeathCloud Esports. If you wanted a team to show up on the final week playing for their lives, that is exactly how you want them to play. How good did they look?
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Game one sure didn't go their way. We saw kind of dodgy moments coming out from Shock, but 2, 3, and 4 absolutely stepped up. They did make the sub. Cornflakes came on. We saw the goals from Cornflakes as well, right? And so I guess in game week 9, Rhino, you want to come in clutch and you want to make those moments matter, and they really, really did, right? And so Deathcloud, they came in, they held their own, stellar defense from them. We couldn't see Jack or Papito break the line eventually at those points. We saw the thin margins as well in those wins. And so, yeah, Deathcloud, you've kind of cemented your middle of the table here in Rivals. It's great. You can go to the playoffs as well. You beat Numero Uno as well, which is incredibly important. I mean, absolutely kudos to this team.
They looked so good. And so did my casters for the first 2 games of the night. You two looking wonderful on the cast, but we are now going to get rid of you. Thank you so much for all of your work tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure, and enjoy the rest of your evenings as we move on to look at the second half of today's stream, which will, of course, we will be looking at our lowest tier and our highest tier as we march on. And I wonder if we can just get the graphic to show you exactly what tonight's games look like. And there you go. We started the night with an absolute belter, Unity versus Cosmico in Elite. And it ended up being Cosmico, who were too much for Unity, a 3-1 victory for them to all but cement their place in second in Elite. Then we moved on to the rival tier, and these two rivals played out an absolute barnstormer, but it was Deathcloud Esports who just had too much for Cosmico. Cosmico could lose top of the table to Monarch Queens if results don't go their way. Deathcloud Esports, well, they've done all that they can to make sure that they are in next week's playoff, and we look ahead to 2 more games here on the night. It's gonna be Cosmico Cosmos taking on Monarch Jokers in Prospect. This game is so important. We will have that discussion in a moment when we bring in our new casters. And then for the final game of the night, White Rabbit Gaming versus Ox Gaming. These two teams not fighting for too much in the sense of next week. They both will be there, but as far as positions go, there is a lot to take a look at. So let's take a look at what the chat is saying. Chat, we've had so much happen already tonight. Cosmico, your franchise champions, seen people very much enjoying that fact. And I've also just seen AZG versus White Rabbit Gaming Prospect. AZG won 3-1 with a goal difference of 4. So Zura Gaming taking home that victory means that at least for the moment, they do go up into that 6th spot, waiting on... no, sorry, they were playing White Rabbit Gaming. So Zura Gaming steal that 6th spot away from White Rabbit. Wow, that is fantastic work from them. And we're going to talk about Prospects in just a moment. And before we do, we have to bring in our new casters. And just as we had the European invasion in the RLCS season, we've got the American invasion coming through for our second games of the night. Borky and Melakheim, one of whom is making his debut here in RSC SSA, who we will talk to in just a moment. But for now, Borky, a stalwart at this point of RSC SSA, a stalwart of SSA full stop, a team streamer and more. It's a pleasure to have you back. How are you this evening?
Great to be back, and especially for the final week of RSC. Honestly, I've been involved in countless of these streams, but it went in a blink of an eye, and I know we're jumping into 2 pretty important matchups here, so I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we do have to discuss the new man on the block, although not someone who is likely to be shunned for being here. A lot of Zimbabwean blood in Melakheim, but how are you feeling being on SSA RSC, Mel?
Wow, it feels like I'm home. I've been trying to get on here for a while, but finally I've made my way. I'm very happy. This is very exciting. So I'm very glad this is taking place and that I'm able to be here, even if it's the last week. Hey, the last week is just the start of the playoff experience, which is the best part of the season.
It sure is, but we've got to get there first. And in order to do that, we've got to take a look at the current standings for Prospect to give you an idea of just how important this game coming up is. We have got, for your viewing pleasure, Cosmico Cosmos taking on Monarch Realm. 2 teams that have fought tooth and nail this season. Cosmico on 0 defeats on the entire season, only draws and wins. But the problem is, all of those wins appear to be 3-1s. They've not been able to get many of those sweeps. Monarch Realm, on the other hand, 5-2-1. So they end up in this position today, one win apart from each other, Borky. It's crunch time right here, and Monarch Realm have a much bigger goal difference. So if they do end today with a 3-1 victory for Monarch Realm, they will be the ones to take second spot.
Yeah, it really is do or die here for both of these teams. Not only for Monarch to put the first loss in the column for Cosmico, but you want to hold on to that top 2 seeding. You know, if you're new here, if you haven't been really paying attention this season, those top 2s automatically qualify for the semifinals. That's less games of Rocket League that you have to worry about and have to slug your way through. And that's a great place to be. But I mean, for Cosmico, Monarch's been right on their heels this whole time.
Yeah, they certainly have. And Mel, I do want to come to you. Obviously, someone who's relatively new to the RSC setup. Obviously, you coming into the final week when 2 teams are playing each other that are so close. What do you think the vibes are going to be from each of these rosters?
I think it's going to be pretty intense. They both understand the implications of what's going to have to happen. They understand what they have to get done, and they also understand that they have to raise their level if they ever go down. So their level has to be raised. They have to be a whole lot more urgent on the field, and they have to make sure to keep the mental and the communications up, especially in a format which can be very, very punishing.
It can indeed, but who will be able to keep those communications up more? Who will play better on the day? This is to decide a semi-final spot in Prospect. It's Cosmico Cosmos taking on Monarch Jokers. Enjoy the game, chaps.
Oh, thank you very much, Rhino, and couldn't have said it better myself. It's a great week to be joining us here, Mel, and what a phenomenal game to get you started as well. It's the number 2 versus the number 3. That number 2 spot is up for grabs. And again, we talked about Cosmico. They are undefeated technically this season, only 1 draw to their name. And I mean, they're the only team within all of RSC that is undefeated. So for Monarchs, they have a really challenging task ahead of them, but I think they're up to the occasion because you got to leave everything on the table here.
Yeah, you have to be able to leave everything on the field. I think Monarchs, they are going to have to understand the assignment of what they have to take place and what has to take place. They're going to have to raise their level big time as well. So this is going to be a very interesting match. I think Cosmico are going to be very, very ready. The way that they've played all season has been really good Rocket League, really clean Rocket League. But going into the playoffs, they're going to want to try to take that number 1 spot, but they have to keep this top 2 seeding, of course, for them to get bypass the play and then go straight into the top 4.
Exactly. And one little bit of like fun information heading into this match: Monarch Jokers are the number 1 scoring offense in Prospect. So I mean, Cosmico, yes, their defense is pretty decent, but when you're coming against a team that's so offensively heavy and can create so much pressure, I feel like it's gonna, it's gonna see who can throw that first punch and how they're gonna be able to respond to it. It's gonna decide the winner here for me today.
Yeah, it's going to be big time. So now we're about to get into the game. It's Cosmico Cosmos. Can they keep their top 2 spot, or can the Jokers get right in and above? This is Prospect. Let's see who can come out on top starting into game 1.
Ooh. And I hope everyone at home is ready for this, because again, week 9, this is the culminating event for both of these teams to prove where they belong here, not only within the Prospect standings, but in the rightful place amongst the playoffs. Again, Monarch, previous defending champions from last season of the Prospect ranking, so they're gonna hope they can get into that number 2 spot, but it all starts here now with Cosmico. Some good offense to get us started, but nothing fighting the mark just yet until eventually Lizial gets this first strike.
Yeah, a couple shots to the top corner and off the backboard, able to open that space up. The Cosmico defense running wild, trying to get themselves sorted out. One of them leaving for boost, but not the right decision, so it's going to start out 1-0.
The kickoff, though, Cat Lover getting this one in their favor. A bit of a mistouch there for Creevinator. Allows that backboard to be open, but nobody from Cosmico quite ready for it just yet. Zerker, though, I mean, he didn't have to even follow that ball. Just lobbed it towards net. It goes in, and we're equal.
is exactly what they were off the kickoff and right back on attack. This is the level that they desire for sure. And Cosmic will come out back on top.
And it just kind of feels a little bit of a stalemate right now. Both of these teams, I'm not really sure if they're fully grasping the reality here, because it's just going to be another goal. It's the second one here for these y'all, but it's another quick one off of the kickoff. We haven't been a minute into this game, and there's already 3 recorded across the board. So we'll just have to hold our breaths here on this kickoff, as it's Monarch looking for their 3rd already. This time we'll weather the storm a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be a big time. A lot of this is going to be about who can be faster in the midfield off the backboard. Maybe a double tap, trying to make something happen to follow. Doesn't exactly go through, and now maybe a quick counter attack, 1v1. Been a whole lot of Cosmos trying to ignite that transition midfield gameplay. Still, it's been, just like you said, a really big stalemate, especially in the midfield when no team can exactly get possession and keep possession of the ball. This one's going to be right back off the backboard. A big demo might open things up if they're not too careful, but a really big touch by Bruv, and hopefully they can get out of their own half.
Berserker there on the follow-up. Finally, some bit of breathing room here. Somebody breaks that mid-line. Cat Lover tries to keep this one in here. Does fall into the lap of Swifty Rocks, but again, Cat Lover being a good nuisance there. Previnator trying to get us downfield, going for that double just a bit wide on the touch, and then now sets up Bruv here in a situation trying to get a pass midfield. Cat Lover gets the better of that 50, turns his attention towards Previnator for the demo. But it's just this offense back and forth, a game of ping pong here, really.
And for a team, Cosmos have been undefeated the entire season, and in this format, it could be a little bit tricky sometimes, but they've found a way to be very dominant throughout the season. So when a test like this comes up, you have to be able to be ready, especially to keep your playoff lives in the most convenient situation possible. Cat Lover off the backboard might get a double tap, maybe a follow, quick shot, trying to get back post. Cat Lover couldn't put it in. And big time again, keeping those loose possessions in the midfield as good as possible, but could be a counter for Monarch if they can get something good here.
Looks like a couple missed touches there. Gets a little dicey on the goal line for Cosmico, but no problem there for Berserker. Does get us downfield, gets this inward Cat Lover shot. Goes a bit wide onto the side of the post. Bruv is up for this one. Quick challenge. Previnator gets a better of that 50. And we'll just find ourselves kind of scaling out again in the midfield as Berserker seeing if he can rework some of that magic. The only one on the Cosmico roster to record a goal here so far in game number 1. Swifty Rocks leaves us here for Previnator. Cat Lover has been such a thorn in the side, especially in this midfield battle, just going for these quick 50s.
Yeah, that's exactly what they have to do as well. The quick 1-2s, trying to set their team up, especially if you have a close second, can do a whole lot with that. But now it's Bruv on the move for Cosmos around the corner. A big instant challenge off the backboard. This one might go. Is there a follow-up? Yes, there is. Previnator will make this 3-1.
Oh, that's such a nice play here just to get us all the way downfield, and then Berserker left on an island to defend. We'll see Previnator doing some good janitorial duties, making sure they're there for that rebound. Puts Monarch now up 2 here. With the way that they've been kind of controlling things, I want to say the field domination feels more in their favor for a majority of this game. It seems like Cosmico really needs to find a second gear here in this final minute if they have hopes of at least finding an overtime.
Yeah, but instead it's going to be a quick transition. No one knows Previnator's on 0 boost. And almost went the full way by himself, but could be something here. Swifty Rocks over to the right wall. Corner doesn't bounce in his favor. He's going to have some help, but here comes Berserker. Big save on the back line. That's another thing, just like you mentioned, I think Monarch, they have had a lot of possession. They've been able to move the ball down and up the field as swiftly as possible. Maybe a quick counter attack, not a lot of time remaining. Bruv gets the boost. around the corner into the midfield. The shot comes, but a big save on the goal line. They're going to try to get one more opportunity. The 1, 2, number 3! And Cat Lover will keep his team in it with 4 seconds left.
Oh, what a pass there from Grub. Cat Lover, right place, right time. 4 seconds. This kickoff is going to be everything. The start of this game was kickoff chaos. That's where 3 of these goals came from. And if Cosmico can play their cards right, they might be able to find a 0 second here. Need to keep the ball alive, but Grub a little too quick for that one. And as it touches down, Jokers, well, they're moving themselves a little bit closer to that second spot.
Yeah, all they need is a win in this match, and they're going to be right there. But they played so good. I mean, throughout the entire game, it was field domination by them. The midfield, even when they were on defense, they were able to have good defense. They never let the ball drop in their 18-yard box. They were so quick up to it, always made sure they were first, never second to first. At all times in those challenges, they were always swift, they were always ready, they were always consistent, and they were able to move the ball downfield efficiently, something that Cosmos was not able to do.
Not only that, but the quality of shots. I mean, Monarch only recorded 3 shots to Cosmico's 4, but all 3 of those shots went in. That's 100% completion right there on the side of Monarch. So, hey, again, you got to leave everything on the line. It's the last week of the season, and I mean, they're shooting straight. You can't argue there.
Yeah, and the shooting from them has been good, and it's been efficient as well. They've been able to use a backboard, the 1-2 passes in the midfield to set each other up for the quick goals. They've been able to be efficient, and that's the level of gameplay that you want to see from a team like this, especially against the number 1 seed. They come in with confidence in game number 1. Let's see if they can continue that going into game number 2.
And one thing I do want to see here, I'm going to call him out just because how vocal he is about his team Cosmico. Bruv, you've been telling us a lot about them. We saw yesterday on the RSC pod how vocal you were about them now. Well, you're down a game here. It's game number 2 kicking off now. How are you going to bring your team back into this one? It's off the kickoff, though. It is Bruv screaming behind that ball. Cat Lover gets us up here towards the backboard. It is undefended. Berserker, though, can't get the follow-up touch, and will survive the first kickoff this time around.
Yeah, a lot of this is going to turn into a mental battle. It's going to be real aggravating and frustrating for Cosmico if they drop this first goal. They are on the attack, off the ceiling, no boost. It's a fake down low, off the sidewall corner, trying to make something happen. Both teams playing for playoff seeding. It's going to be big time. Here comes Bruv, who shoots it right underneath, splitting the defense to make it 1-0.
Oh, and I called him out. He's showing up here. That's just that placement on that shot, too. Is a sea of Monarch defenders scrambling to get back just a bit slow and out of position. And that allows Cosmico to get the first blow here. Last time around, it was Monarch, and once they got that lead, they didn't want to relinquish it. And it's going to be up to Cosmico here to at least make a little bit more of an argument why they deserve that number 2 spot. That first game really did feel like all Monarch controlling, and it's these counterattacks, too, that really seem to bite Cosmico in the rear. And again, it's Lizio off of a quick pass here from Previnator that was just patiently waiting in the midfield to collect.
Yeah, I mean, just like you were talking about earlier, it's the 50s that are going to mean a lot in this game. Where do the 50s go? Who angles the 50s better? But it's a great kickoff. It's a hard cheat. It's a flick past the last defender, and it's 1-2.
Getting a lot of deja vu here to that first game. Just as soon as a team finds an equalizer, it's that kickoff that comes in to haunt. And Cosmico this time do get the better of it. Up again here. We'll see Berserker, though, off of that one. Tries to force it back into the side of Monarch. Lizio not able to get it past, but Swifty rocks on the follow-up from Cat Lover's touch. Gets this one infield. It is cleared away, though. Previnator, last man, had to get that touch, but once again, Cosmico on these quick 50s showing no respect this time around to Monarch, are really forcing the issue.
Yeah, and Cosmico right now, they have the right thing done. The ball sitting idle in the midfield. It's going to be left for Bruh. Trying to get off the backboard, but the touch not heavy enough. Look for the double tap. But Cosmico, they're finding the right opportunities, the right attempts. They're keeping the ball in the orange half right now, the yellow half. Maybe giving away possession just a little bit. It's going to be a big high pop and a bump. It's a big clear. Swifty Rocks has to control. Around one, Cat Lover takes control from the sidewall, allowing it to drop. It might open up for Berserker. Maybe it's a fake down over for Bruv, who puts it high off the backboard. It's a bad touch. Open for Bruv, and Bruv has a brace.
This is exactly what I was expecting to see from this Cosmico team. Just absolutely relentless when they can start to build some of this pressure. We've seen it all season long. All it takes for them is to get that ball across the midline, and you aren't breathing for the next minute or so. This time on full display, that 2-goal lead, but it is Monarch. They took that first game. They're going to be looking here to get themselves back into the running contention for game 2.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing. They have to be able to strike fast. It looks like the tables have turned, and Bruv is on a mission right now to get his team into the playoff bracket as the number 2 seed. Quick shot from Cat Lover. That one gets denied. Maybe the follow is going to be straight through. Berserker has no will against this team.
And at this point, Cosmico is just trying to run away with this one. Maybe they're just saying that first game was a little bit of a give me charity match, but all of those jitters are aside now. They have just really been clicking more as one cohesive unit here since we had that little bit of a timeout between the matches. We'll have to see, can they hold on to this? There's been a couple comebacks within RSC this season, and right now that's not one Cosmico can afford.
Yeah, Cosmico wanted their best to keep this lead. Whatever they talked about, whatever they have changed, it is working big time, and they didn't want to put their foot off the gas. They want to keep going, and as much as possible, and with as much conviction as possible as well. Been able to change a lot of the core issues that we talked about in the middle of the last match that they were doing wrong. Not enough pressure, not enough urgency to challenge the ball, maybe not enough communication, maybe a couple of double commits. They've changed a lot of that and have found a way to control the midfield and be able to establish the pressure that they have right now. And this is the design lever they're looking for. Maybe one more. That will be one more. Berserker has a hat trick.
I mean, 3 now for Berserker, 2 for Bruv. The only one missing a goal here on this Cosmico side is Cat Lover. But make no mistake, they have been a crucial factor here for why their team's succeeding, especially in the 50 department. We can see how quick Cat Lover is to a lot of these 50s, just not really giving room and space to Monarch. And that's coming back to bite them, because that's where Monarch really thrived, was how much space they were able to create, and then that allowed those easy counter attack opportunities, and there hasn't been too many of those since.
Yeah, and that's been the big thing. Maybe something over here, but they need something just to enlighten them, just something to get their engine going. Monarch, because it feels like they've been completely depleted from whatever fuel they had in game number 1. The momentum has completely shifted, but they need a win. They need something as dominant as this, but in their favor this time. What happened to those 50s, the 1-2 passes? It's been all to Cosmico, and Cosmico have been able to hold steady and keep this lead in their favor, and look like they will continue to going into game number 3.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's been 4 goals unanswered now here on the side of Monarch. That's got to be a little bit draining on the confidence as Cat Lover was coming in trying to find their first one here. It doesn't really matter at this point. The waiting seconds will just tick away. We'll see if maybe either of these teams opt for a 0-second drill. Nope, Monarch's going to touch it down. Cosmico gets us tied back up. And remember, we do play all 4 games here, so every single game is important.
Yeah, that is big thing. Every single game counts as much as possible. And Monarch, they want to be able to come out with something changing for them. They have to have something change, because this game, they know was not the type of game that they want to play in. It looked like they were out of their element. So something has to change, and I'm sure it will. But Cosmos, they looked very, very well done. They looked like they did a whole lot in their favor. And I think it was very swift from them. It was very consistent, a lot more. They were able to find each other around the field. They were able to distribute the ball, take a lot of 50s, play a bit closer, and understand when to play farther, and had a lot better follow-ups when they needed to. And that is something that they needed to do. That's something that they had to have take place in order for them to turn it around. And not only did they turn it around, they completely changed the course of the game. And we'll see if they changed the course of the series.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to keep our eyes peeled for that one, as game 3 is just lurking right around the corner. We saw Cosmico switch things up. They came back in a pretty dominant way. Monarch, it's your turn to respond here. It is game number 3. We'll be heading over to Salty Shores as this one kicks off. Again, whoever wins this team will guarantee themselves at least a draw, and they'll remove any possibility of gaining a loss here for Cosmico. That's going to work wonders. Continue that undefeated streak. And for Monarch, it's never been needed more than now.
Yeah, I mean, for Cosmico, dude, undefeated the entire season. Imagine the mental going into the playoff bracket that they haven't lost. Maybe it's an X on their back. It could serve either as an X on their back or this just unwavering confidence that they might have. But for Monarch, they need to be able to prove that they can be the number 2 seed, that whatever draws or losses that they had during the season won't affect them going into the playoff, and none of it matters. But it looks like something's gonna matter. That is Cat Lover's urgency in the midfield. A quick goal, 1-0.
Cat Lover was kept scoreless in that last game, but no more. The first goal of game number 3 is in an extraordinary fashion, and that's exactly what Cosmico were hoping to do. Just continue exactly where they left off against this Monarch team. Continue proving their dominance here on the pitch. We'll see a little bit of a counter here. Crevenator has to get past 2. Gets over to Lezial. The shot comes in. It is saved off into the corner. Swifty Rocks, though, keeps it in. Can Monarch build pressure? They were able to get the ball downfield last game, but there wasn't really too much behind it. It kind of just felt like it fizzled out every time they had a little bit of a look developing.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. You have to be able to keep your persistence strong, especially when it becomes wavering. And I think for Monarch, they need to be able to find something where they get pressure. They have to be able to get possession of the ball and fast. It's a big save. It's Berserker just keeping the ball in play. Revenator just pushing the ball downfield. Maybe something here. A big bang back. It's going to be a little bit of boomer ball played here for a second. That's going to drop low and right onto the car of one of the Monarch players. Might get the double off the backboard. There's no quick follow-up. Revenator keeps it in. Might be able to go again, but Berserker straight back up to that one. They are finding opportunities. They're finding pressure, but they cannot find the final pass or the final shot.
But it is looking a lot more alive here on this Monarch side. That's something that was just completely absent in that first game. It's good to see them back here. Lezial, potentially a fake there. That was really good. Caused 2 players from Cosmico to go. The last one does get the save, but with that allows them right back into the attack. Great 50 there from Lezial. This one does go into the midfield. Crevenator not able to connect. Swifty Rocks, third man, playing really far up, but it seems to do the trick there as ball once again finds itself into this corner. A little bit of a battle will ensue, but Brub's gonna muscle it out, going for the double up towards the backboard. Berserker gets the rebound and puts Cosmico up 2.
Oh, it's a big fake right here, right out buying Crevenator's attempt. And Cosmico ruling the field as if it was their own, living rent-free on the side of Monarch. And that is exactly the level that they desired.
Well, they were looking for their third there instantly. That time, though, Monarch will be able to navigate the tricky waters. Crevenator can't keep this one in here. Cat Lover turns behind it. tries to play this around Leezyal. 50 does come out in his favor, but Bruv right behind. Seems like Cosmico has that third and second man just waiting exactly where they need to be to follow up on these touches. This one here, Cat Lover can't clear it past. Berserker, though, already up and in the air for this one. Crevenator, though, we need to get something soon for Monarch. This one bounces off, but appears that at least third time's the charm as Swifty Rock finally gets some sort of an answer here for Monarch, because it was 6 unanswered.
Yeah, and that was a quality play as well. It's a great sequence from them, being able to use and abuse the backboard as much as possible, open up space in the midfield to get the second and final shot. And that's what they needed. That's what they had a lot of in game number 1, and that's what they need to produce in game 2. But this one might be left open for a shot, but Swifty Rocks had that one covered no matter where that went. Now it's 1v3 on the corner. Berserker trying to make something happen, but it's been very well done by Cosmico. On this midfield, it's going to be another big bang. Berserker should have this right back. Swifty Rock should have this one covered from his own corner. They have to find a way to get pressure and to elongate this game. At least bring this into overtime. Maybe it could be something here. Oh, their one opportunity goes right flowing past the table. Maybe a second, a final shot will finally go through. Finally, a tie game. Monarch worked hard for it, and well deserved.
Oh, some massive and much needed touches here from Monarch, and they claw their way back. Yes, it was scrappy, but they don't care. This game is now tied here. We're under that minute mark, and I have a real sneaking feeling that the next goal, whether it's regulation or overtime, just might be golden here. Berserker looking to be the one to find it as he gets the better 50. Puts a little weight room behind this one. It reassures Cosmico are back in the lead.
Oh, has this turned into the steel and salty shallows? This is unbelievable. A big 50, a big dunk on the goal line. And Cat Lover might look for another! 4-2 and Cosmico have this under control.
For any of the Cosmico fans, you can wipe that sweat off of your forehead. Because Monarch, they made it look close. They made it look like the comeback was on, and right before their very own eyes blink, and they might have missed it, Cosmico just completely stole the game right back. They're going to be looking for their 5th here off the kickoff. These y'all trying to clear this one downfield. Swifty Rock's getting the pass over into the corner. This is a great opportunity, great setup. Crevenator was there, but Bruv with a better touch gets the save, and a very crucial one because the rest of this clock's just going to tick down, and unless Monarch finds something within the next second, this one is going in favor of Cosmico, and they will remain undefeated the entirety of the regular season.
Wow. What a stat for them. Cosmico, series not over. They'd love to pick up this one and end it out in game number 4, but really, really well done by Cosmico. And the level that they were able to put just so high, done so well. 4-2, able to fend off the comeback attempt. And it looks like as long as they can hold out here, regardless, I think they're going to end up holding that number 2 spot. And Monarchs just playing for game differential now as some other teams try to creep in for that spot.
Yep, and you said it perfectly. With that win, Cosmico do clinch that number 2 spot. So Monarch, it was a very valiant effort. It was a very valiant comeback attempt, but unfortunately it does fall a bit flat there at the end. Cosmico just, they had a little bit left in reserve and they brought it all back out. It was I don't even know how quick that was, but those 2 goals in a row just completely to destroy any bit of confidence there. So, hey, great season here for Cosmico. They will get that nice spot into the semifinals. But for Monarch, again, you have to keep playing because now seeding becomes important. Every single win matters. We will be playing all 4. We already mentioned that. There's 1 more left to play. If you can force a draw here, that does set yourself up great.
Yeah, and especially going into this as well, don't pick up an extra loss, keeps you well in the standings. especially right here. So Monarch, whatever they had going on in their mind, maybe disappointment that they're not going to get the second seed, forget it. Have to keep on pushing, keep on playing, and make sure that they keep themselves in the same standing as they were before.
Oh, but a little bit more at stake here for Cosmico, as Swifty Rocks is going to get the first goal here, trying to at least force a tie. If Cosmico can win this game, they have a higher goal differential than Def Cloud, so they will take the #1 spot. This is no longer a battle for who can have that #2 spot. It's a battle for, can Cosmico steal that #1 spot from Def Cloud?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's going to be the big thing. Who can go? Looks like, from my information, now we're getting some big information. Jokers are now locked into the 3rd position. So if Cosmico win the next game, I believe this one, they'll have the higher game differential than Death Cloud. So they'll be able to take the #1 spot. Interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, for Monarchs, I guess the stakes aren't as high because you are locked into that 3rd place position, and we're just gonna really have to see the Cosmico show here. They came alive after that game #1. They had a few hiccups along the way, but for the most part, it's been all them. And for Def Cloud, I'm sure they're going to be watching here, cheering on the side of Monarch, hoping they can keep that #1 spot alive. Wow. But it's Berserker who's putting the case here for Cosmico on full display for everybody with this shot here.
Well, look at that. That shot zipped right past everybody's eyes like a laser beam and went straight into the bottom right corner. That's the level that they desire. That's an excellent level right now. And Cosmico trying to win this game, get top spot. We'll see if they can do that. Monarch, they have other ideas. They want to stay locked into that 3rd spot. We'll see if they can, but it's a tap right back out in the midfield. Maybe it's a contested challenge. Now it's Swifty Rocks. Big 50, Berserker, they're so urgent. They're up for everything. Every ball that's popped high, every soft touch, every hard first touch. They're right there to challenge, right there to intercept, and right there to play defense. And heavy in the midfield. It's a big bump and left open for somebody, but I think it was Bruv that went zipped right past the ball. But they still stay in control in this 4th game.
Cosmico really picking things up here. If we thought that they were playing fast in those previous games, you can definitely brush that aside because they have a whole new level of intensity behind them. It's a quick shot from Creepinator. Berserker gets the save there. Bruv clears the backboard. Cat Liver a little bit too far downfield. We'll still be able to turn on this one. These y'all, though, trying to get Monarch at least a tie here. You know, you want to play for a bit more of that bragging right, saying that you're the only other team that was able to put a draw on the Cosmico thing, maybe deny them that 1st place spot like they did for you that 2nd. And again, like, this is probably the closest RSC SSA has ever been, not only within Prospect, but all of the tiers. And every single thing matters because it plays such a huge factor.
Yeah, it does. Everything plays such a huge factor. That's what all these games, all these goals, everything means so much more in a format like this. And Cosmico, they're really happy with where they're standing. It's a big bump, could be left open to a counterattack. It's Quivinator trying to get the bump. It's a big 50 right back out. Who's first to it? Off the backboard, this goes. Follow the touch, the shot, not gonna find it. And Bruv just gonna try to put this ball in its safe place right back in the corner.
That was a really big bump there from Berserker that just completely threw off that Monarch offender in the middle. And that's something that I feel like can also be a little bit of credit to is since that 1st game, we've seen the Cosmico demos increase. We'll see Monarch trying to give them a taste of their own medicine with a huge demo in front of net, but Berserker back in the nick of time keeps this one out. We find ourselves still tied here as a minute approaches.
Oh, Cat Lover around the top of 1, around the top of 2, has 1 defender remaining, trying to get the last touch, but couldn't exactly find it. Now it's Bruv. Not the best touch. It's going to be a round 1. Swifty Rocks went fast. Berserker up as fast as possible, looking to beat past his last man. Has Bruv in the middle, and that could be for the win. 2-1, Bruvza able to take a big lead.
Again, the advocate here for Cosmico has been singing their praises all season long, has been a catalyst for their success, and he comes up big. It's a great pass from Berserker, who has been having a phenomenal series here. That #1 spot is so close, within reach here now for Cosmico. They just have to weather this final storm. Monarch shot comes in from Swifty, but it's high and wide.
Oh, they have to end these last couple of seconds with a big bang. Berserker off the backboard. Swifty Rocks trying to make something happen. Cat Lover shot denied at the goal line again. With their final breath, they continue to hold on. Transition around one to the corner. Big 50 out. Swifty Rocks leaving that one. From the other side, the quick banger to the left wall. This one goes. Maybe a quick hook shot. Off the sidewall, it's gonna go straight down. Cosmico will attempt to take the #1 spot going into the playoffs.
What a performance there for Cosmico. It looked a little bit dicey at the start. It was a shaky. I was questioning if Monarch were going to steal their spot, but instead they flip the script and they find themselves stealing a spot instead themselves. Cosmico remain undefeated. It's been an absolutely phenomenal regular season for them. And as they now head into the playoffs, they're in the best position they possibly could be. And it's off the backs of this performance here.
Yeah, amazing performance by them. They did such a good job of being able to enable their attacks to the highest level and go from point A to point B as swift as possible as well. You can look at the stats, the match stats right now. Berserker had one heck of a game. Same thing with Bruh, but Berserker, a big pass in the midfield, able to get that one shifted that right back outright and was able to get a big goal with only a couple seconds remaining, just under a minute. That's the clutch gene that we're looking for, and that's the clutch gene that we'll get.
Yeah, that's just the Cosmico difference. They've been doing, I mean, not only within the prospect tier has this Cosmico team been phenomenal, but across the franchise standings as well. This is going to put them in a pretty good spot. But I do want to hear the opinion of somebody else here on what they thought about that match. And welcome back, Rhino.
I fixed my green screen. Great success. How are you, boys? What a game that was. I mean, we got to talk about it, okay? At the halfway point, it looks like it really could go either way. Monarch were playing well, Cosmico were playing well, but it is going to be Cosmico that not only managed to get that second seed, they actually take top spot away from Deathbound Esports. They get that better seeding going into next week, Borky, and I mean, they're going to be feeling really good about that. How much confidence are they going to take now from this game moving into the playoffs?
Yeah, and I think Mel brought it up a little bit during that game is, well, how does that really affect the mental? You know, you're undefeated. Does it add that little bit of an extra stressor of we haven't lost yet? We don't know what that feels like. Or are you just going to be on cloud nine, a whole new level of confidence heading in there saying nobody here was able to defeat us all regular season? How are they going to do it now in the playoffs?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a really interesting conundrum for the rest of the prospects here to try and figure out. Mel, I want to talk to you a little bit about Monarch, because it did feel a little bit unfortunate for them, but they showed multiple times that they had that comeback ability. They were able to get back into games. That game 3 specifically, they were 2-0 down, came back to 2-2. They just couldn't get it over the line. Same in game 4, they went 1-0 down. They came back to 1-0. They couldn't get it over the line. Is that a concern or is that a strength moving into playoffs next week, do you think?
I'd say it's more of a strength, especially for them, because that level of resilience is a very high quality to have, and it also shows character. I don't blame them for going down too much. You're up against a top 2 seed, now the #1 seed, and they're playing great Rocket League. They played so urgent, so all they could do was be able to keep themselves mentally in it. Of course, they're going to have some things that they want to be able to figure out, but they played such a high level and a great brand of Rocket League, especially when they were down. They were able to stay resilient, and they were able to try to work their way back into games. And that is a quality that shows high-level character that going into the playoffs is going to mean a lot more than what it meant during the regular season.
And there you go, two teams that will be being seen in next week's playoff. Congratulations to Cosmico for taking that top seed, but Monarch breathing down their necks with that third seed. Going to get the easier draw going in to play-ins. Well, we're going to go from our lowest tier in the RSC to the highest tier in the RSC. We're going to Master tier all the way up the ladder. And we have got two big names right here. White Rabbit Gaming Matrix taking on Ox Gaming Villabiest. And let's take a look at how that conference is currently lining up. White Rabbit Gaming come into this week guaranteed to be involved next week. But if they get a sweep, they will lock themselves in for a date with the semi-finals. They will be able to get up into that semi-final spot. It's not guaranteed which position they'll finish, first or second, but they can take that moment. Villabiest on the other side, they don't really have too much to play for in this moment. They are locked in to next week, guaranteed with that 18 points. It's all about that better seeding for them. If they are able to get the victory today, go over Shadow Abyss, take that 4th seed instead of the 5th seed, and also prevent Silverback from being able to overtake them. That would be a big feather in their cap, and they would be able to not look up at the table and get a more difficult game coming up towards the end of the season. So, Borky, a big game in the context of Master Tier as a whole. White Rabbit Gaming have a little bit more to play for. Do you think that means they're going to be coming into this game with a little bit more verve, a bit more vigor, or do you think maybe that there's a chance that they'll be a bit nervous coming into this game?
See, I wouldn't really speak too much for nerves. I think that they'll be okay knowing that they are already locked into the play-in, so they don't have to worry about fighting for their spot. But I do feel like it is going to light a little flame behind them because, yes, you want to play for that semifinals position. Again, we've been talking about it all of week 9, how important these final placements are going to be because it's the playoffs. You never know what happens, who's going to have a hot day or a cold day. So for them, I think White Rabbit Gaming are going to have a little bit more pep in their step, but nothing for free in SSA. It's never been free. It's always been earned here in this region, and I think that Ox is going to definitely put them to that challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mel, I do want to talk about that challenge that Ox are going to be providing with the fact that they don't have a lot to play for. Kind of one game win and it feels like they're okay. Is it a little bit of a throwaway game for them? Maybe they'll have a sub, maybe they'll have someone a lower CMV tonight. Do you think Ox will see it that way?
No, I think especially in games that regardless they don't matter, they're going to have to be able to keep themselves mentally in tune and push forward as much as possible. Regardless, they have to try their hardest, and I'm sure that they will, because it can't hurt getting an extra spot, especially going into a playoff bracket. But for them, they have to be able to keep themselves mentally firm.
Yeah, absolutely. And we hope that they will be able to do so. Now, normally is the time where I would pass to you boys for going into that game. However, we have had word that one of the teams currently are not prepared. So we will continue to chat amongst ourselves, I guess. Borky, it's been a fascinating season this season in Master Tier, no less. Only one team have scored over 100 goals. Guess which team that is.
Wow.
Hint, they won the franchise standings earlier tonight. But everyone has a loss on their record. Everyone has a win on their record. It's been one of the most unpredictable Master seasons of all time here in RSC.
Yeah, I mean, Cosmico, again, if you're a purple team in RSC, it's been a great year for you. That seems to be no difference here as both Cosmico and DefCloud are sitting in the number 1 and 2 spots again, currently, again in Masters. I believe it was actually DefCloud last week that provided the first loss of the season to Cosmico. Their prospect team, maybe they'll have to take a note from them on how they were able to remain undefeated the whole season long. But yeah, again, a great season for the purple teams. But for White Rabbit Gaming heading into this one, I feel like they're just right behind Death Cloud here, and they have full potential if they really show up here to take this one away.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll see if they are able to do so. Supernova have actually already played this week. They played against Sovereign, and they were able to beat them 3-1, but their position at the top of the table is under duress from the likes of Death Cloud Tempest, who beat them last week, and of course White Rabbit Gaming Matrix. Mel, I mean, moving into this final week for every single tier in RSC, it's always a little bit more nervy. There's always a little bit more at stake when you get into week 9. But we talk a lot in RSC about how important every individual game win is. Because you can see it even here in Master. There are some teams that have won more games 3-1 than they have won 4-0. And that has meant that they're a little bit further down the table. So do you feel like that is something about RSC that makes it a little bit different in the sense that a win isn't enough? You have to win every game you play.
Yeah, it's a really big, it's a separating thing from a lot of the other leagues that was seen, and that makes it so special. But it also gives a sense of urgency. You hear me talk about urgency a lot. I've always talked about urgency a lot. And the ability to be able to keep your best level at all times and to stay interested and to stay mentally tuned in to every game. You have to be able to do that. And for players, sometimes it's hard, sometimes they lack, but it's a great show of discipline. And the players that are able to do that at the highest level and stay tuned in for every single game and show and give their best for every game, it's able to show and give show that they have a lot of character, but also improve the mental ability of a lot of the players in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a couple of bits of information to disperse right now. Okay, so the first thing is, it appears that Ox Gaming currently only have 2 players online. Now, what does that mean in the sense of this series? Well, we've basically given them a 5-minute warning. If they forfeit that game, they will forfeit the game if they don't show up in the next 5 minutes. That's the individual game, not the entire series. Now, if it gets to 9:14 and they will forfeit game 1, but then a new 5-minute timer will start and we will continue with game 2. They will then forfeit that game if they don't get here after that, and so on and so forth. So this might turn into a little bit of a podcast if they don't get a third man, but at the moment we understand that they do have a third man coming. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is I want to take you down to elite tier, because there's a huge result that has been reported down in elite tier, and that's that Death Cloud have beaten Azura Gaming 4-0. Now, we saw an elite tier game happen earlier today. That was Cosmico taking down Unity in 3-1 fashion. That put them on 25 game wins. Death Cloud Miasma had to go one better than that to secure themselves a spot in that semi-final, and that's exactly what they did. A clean sweep, a 4-0 to take them to 26 wins on the season. So it's them and Ox Gaming who will be representing the top 2 teams. Yeah, 26. 10 losses all season. 10 individual game losses all season. It's very impressive from 36 games. And so Ox Gaming and Death Cloud will be 1 and 2 respectively going into the remainder of the season. But I have had news that the teams are ready, which means that I can pass you over for our final game of the regular season here on the RSC SSA stream. It's Master Tier. It's White Rabbit Gaming Matrix taking on Ox Gaming Villabies. Good luck, boys.
Again, thank you very much, Rhino. We know the stakes now, but again, this isn't RSC pod. That was yesterday. Today is the day for all these matches to be played out. It's the last one that we have here for you tonight. We know the stakes. We know the odds. We know what is needed here for White Rabbit Gaming to steal a spot within the top 2. For Ox, it's a bit more of just, I guess, a practice, or just denying your opponent an opportunity to set themselves up.
Yeah, and that's going to be the big thing, I think, from Matrix and Wildebeest. They're both in these interesting spots in the bracket. They're both trying to be able to push themselves further down and get better seeding, better game differential. This series is going to be a big one in terms of game differential, just like every single series, but they have to be able to stay tuned in. Matrix and Wildebeest also very interesting to note that these two teams are going to be at a interesting level. They have to stay at this interesting level throughout the entire series to make sure that they're going to be going through. High-level players getting ready. We're about to enter the match. Let's see what happens.
Well, I'm glad that Ox was able to field a roster for this one, because all of these games, if you're a fan of RLCS, are going to ring a little bit of a bell here to you. And it's a great showdown tonight. Again, colors might be a little conflicting here, so just bear with trying to identify exactly who is who, but I'm sure Mel and I will do a good job of breaking down all the action, as right now it is White Rabbit Gaming that's putting on all the offense here.
Yeah, White Rabbit Gaming doing a good job of being able to get the offense off the backboard. That goes Matrix having to go from offense to defense real fast, but maybe here come White Rabbit Gaming again. Around the corner, the extra touch, and Galaxy will make it 1-0.
That is disgusting there from Galaxy, realizing that's coming in. The pre-flick little tire skim. What a shot to get White Rabbit Gaming onto the board early, and a phenomenal start for them. Not only, again, that number 2 spot at potential here for White Rabbit Gaming to steal, and they have come to play.
Yeah, they have definitely come to play. This is going to be a very interesting match. They remain confident. It's a little pop reset that he gets off the backboard, Ravioli. YSF around the corner. Max not any boots to work with, so could he get his hands on that ball? Galaxy around 1. Trying to make this happen, and Ox Gaming have to be careful that they don't stay on defense for too long and relinquish pressure, and that's going to be a big shot saved by Max that time. And White Rabbit Gaming going to be content with their pressure and their opportunities as they continue to move forward. It's a big demo. That's going to be just off. And maybe White Rabbit Gaming can keep this one in the black half.
Big clearance there, an even bigger miss sends Serenity scrambling back here. One player from White Rabbit goes, a second one goes as well. It sets up Serenity here towards a pass from Max. Tweaks is going to pick it up instead. Tries to get this one towards target, a little bit wide there, but a lot of control behind that one. Max just battling here to keep it in. Serenity, huge touch, but Galaxy back in time to collect it. Max again, just lofting shots towards net. Eventually, if you put enough on, one has to fall through, right? Instead, it's Galaxy that flips the pitch in an instant here. We'll have to see if Tweaks can hold on to possession.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can. Again, big thing by White Rabbit Gaming, but they've missed a couple of opportunities and a couple of balls. Serenity into the top right tire of the game for Ox Gaming.
That's just something that has appeared to be the trend here between this master game. As it is advanced in time, it has gotten quicker and quicker. The tempo is really up there right now, and that's going to cause mistakes. That's going to cause these misses. And when both these teams are playing so quickly, you never know who's going to come in next. This time it's Ravi who gets the pass received here from Galaxy, gives a little bit of his life for that one. And it's White Rabbit Gaming resuming that lead.
That is such a strategic 50 that Galaxy took in the corner and delayed it, pushed it right back out into the midfield. And that's great and urgent positioning from Ravioli to hop right on top of it. Here he goes again. Look at this, trying to plan B that attempt. But WRG, White Rabbits Gaming, exactly what they needed to get right back out in the lead. And for them, going to be content with that play, but let's see what they can do on defense now. They're going to be right back on defense, and if it's going to be one of those series for them where they're going to be stuck on defense, it's going to be pretty hard. YSF, the pass from the corner into the midfield, 3-1.
Man, and it really feels undefendable the way White Rabbit Gaming has been moving this ball around the pitch. They're looking for any passing opportunity they can, and it just, you can see it's drawing Ox off of their defensive positions, is causing a third man to find themselves a little bit too far forward into the play, and that creates those open nets. Again, it's another one that White Rabbit Gaming finds here as they increase their lead. But Ox, they put up a good fight. They just want to see a bit more from these counter attacks. Tweaks, he'll get us started there. Tries to find a pass, but no teammates there waiting for it.
That's another big thing, and oh, it's right over the top of YSF. Serenity is gonna give them a brace. It's a really big pop over the top of one, and Ox Gaming find a way to get this game right back within one.
Ooh, I mean, you really never do know within this master tier which way the game is going to fall. It looked for a majority there that it was all White Rabbit Gaming, but again, it's just one simple mistake from the pace of play, and Ox find themselves right back in. Only one down here. They do have to worry a bit about this clock, but they have some time to play around with to try to get it back here. This one just floats in front of net forever. Serenity doing a good job putting on the pressure. Max is going to get a follow-up here. Big 50 keeps it in the corner. A little bit of that corner battle will ensue as Tweets goes for the corner read. Not able to connect there. Serenity opts the back pass, and Max is going to collect.
Yeah, and Max, a good job of carrying this one downfield, and now he'll take over again. Just under 40 seconds remaining, and Ox Gaming have to be able to get possession of this ball and move downfield. Galaxy can't get the read. Ravioli, interesting challenge, but had to get any type of touch on the ball to keep that from being a goal. Flip, reset from the ceiling goes Max. Around the corner, this one goes my. Just any type of touch. A big skimmer. Max. Oh, it's going to be just off target. Wide open. Missing the opportunity. It's a weird touch. My bad touch. Trying to get the 50. And does. Galaxy trying to end this game with an air dribble. A buff reset. And a goal to the top corner.
What a way to find the dagger. Not only do you seal it, but you sink it deep into the Beast. And White Rabbit Gaming, all they have to do is just let this ball touch after this kickoff. They'll be putting themselves in a very, very strong start to get that number 2 spot.
Oh yeah, for sure. White Rabbit Gaming came in exactly how they wanted to play. Ox Gaming had very crucial opportunities and attempts toward the end of that game that they could have and should have synced. It should have been an overtime, but it plays out this way for a reason. And White Rabbit Gaming Matrix come out on top with a goal.
And look at that contribution there across the board for White Rabbit Gaming. I mean, it seems like everyone was just really involved in a majority of those scoring opportunities there for them. Everyone has a goal to their name. And Ox, I mean, we can look at that defense, that 4 saves in comparison to White Rabbit Gaming's 2. The shots, just only 1 less, but it just kind of speaks volumes for how much more pressure White Rabbit Gaming was able to develop there.
Yeah, I think White Rabbit Gaming, they were able to get a lot of pressure on, but they did that by being able to control the midfield, control all the 50s, be able to play close and anticipate the next play. They did a good job of playing the balls, intercepted a lot of the passes in the midfield, and made sure that every single time the ball dropped in the final 18 or the 6 of Ox Gaming, they always had someone right out there to pounce and strike, and they did a great job of being able to angle the 50s and be there for their teammates at all times. Also, they added a physical element that we have not seen a lot today from any of the teams that we've watched, and that usually is able to be the final denominator for winning success.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people out there that hate bumps and demos, but I mean, it's a part of the game, and it is such a crucial one because if a team can employ it correctly, that's one less player you have to worry about. That's a complete backline that you can just disrupt and erase in an instant, and that will set you up for opportunities. right now, White Rabbit Gaming, well, they set themselves up for an opportunity to steal that number 2 spot. I'm going to keep bringing it up because that's how important it is. That's what's at stake here. Ox, again, already locked in the play-in, so not too much to worry about if you're an Ox fan. It's just kind of seeding at this point, but for White Rabbit Gaming, you do have to cheer them on.
Yeah, you do have to cheer them on, I think, big time, but White Rabbit Gaming, they're looking to get a higher spot. And like you said earlier, it's not about, physicality is not always about just getting off the back line, just like Galaxy did there. It's being able to completely disrupt and disorient an entire rotation from one side to another. And this ball pops right back at Ravioli, who does a 3-point turn to get right back into that play. I think White Rabbit Gaming done a great job of being able to immediately establish their pressure in the midfield and their possession, their sovereignty in the air as being up to that fast, but a big miss, a big bank downfield. Galaxy looking for another attempt. This one's not going to be on target. The shot was right into Serenity, and Ox Gaming surviving continuously.
And if you're watching this game here, I just urge everybody to pay attention to Ox Gaming's boost in comparison to White Rabbit Gaming. We talk about that pressure and how important it is, but this is just really a full display of how important it is. Because if you look at White Rabbit Gaming's boost in comparison to Ox, they're way up there. There's been countless time here on defense. Ox has 0 in the tank besides 1 person, and it's just a little bit of a scramble fest to get out. So that resource game is going to be playing dividends here for White Rabbit Gaming as now Ravi takes us off of the ceiling. Max cuts that off before he can develop any play. Yusuf there on the follow-up, trying to get it to Galaxy, but it fades just a little too high.
Yeah, it's a great sequence still on offense right now from White Rabbit Gaming, but they couldn't make anything out of it. Now Max on the transition, the reset and the flip, trying to get right past the last defender, beat out 2 players, but couldn't do enough with that. It's going to play right back out to Max, and Max just pushing this right back into the corner. Pressure possession doesn't always work, and they've left the goal open, almost allowing that to get past the last defender. But White Rabbits Gaming, right after their one single defensive sequence, they find themselves right back on offense, but back in their house. How do they deal with it? Really easily, as they continue to push themselves into the offensive half of Ox Gaming.
But a big pass comes into Serenity, and that's what we were looking for from Ox. We were looking for these passing plays to be utilized. Tweaks, that's some beautiful control there. Ravi, not a lot to work with, left on an island, and Serenity has the entire net to shoot, and Ravi has to guess which way he's going.
Yeah, Ravi did a great job as well. Last man back, had to find a way to get a ball on that, but needed some help at the end. Touch just trying to keep possession right now. Ox Gaming haven't had much pressure, if at all, but those quick transition sequences that they've been able to have their hands on has been just enough. White Rabbits Gaming, they have to find a way to get themselves right back in this game with some of the pressure they had, but instead it's going to be YSF with no boost, beat out by Mai right to get the goal. Ox Gaming will go up by 2 with under 2 minutes remaining.
What a shot there, and it really felt like, again, this game was White Rabbit Gaming's game to lose. They had so much of that offense, so much of the control and field domination behind it, but it's just been 2 quick counters here from Ox. They find an opening, they create a bit of an opportunity, and when they do that, they've set themselves up to be in this position they are now, up 2 here. And you also have to credit their defense has been absolutely stellar, the way they've been able to hold out a majority of these suffocating White Rabbit Gaming attacks.
Yeah, and White Rabbit Gaming has been able to just put shot after shot, pass after pass. This might be one that goes in. YSF a floater, no one back on the fence to keep that one out. And with a minute remaining, White Rabbits Gaming, with their dominance and their pressure, keep themselves alive in game 2.
And I mean, we already saw one comeback attempt here earlier today, Mel, down in Prospect. So I guess we definitely cannot count out WRG, the way that they have been playing, it just feels like one lucky break. They're going to get this right back on equal terms. Serenity, 50 not going his way. This one almost all the way back towards net. Tweaks instead tries to clear out the pressure. Galaxy keeps it in. Max, great 50 there. It's going to be a very long game of keep away here for Ox as this final 30 now approaches.
Final 30 seconds. They have to find a way to get this one through for White Rabbit Gaming to keep their pressure, keep their hopes in this game alive. They have the pressure, but can they find the final shot? They might. Ravioli will go fast, and Ravioli will impose his will on his opponents to tie the game.
Ravi coming up massive here for WRG. 16 seconds. That's all Ox had to weather, and they weren't able to do it. We'll now have to see if it's overtime or regulation. Off the kickoff here, it's Galaxy that gets the possession of the ball. Tweak stops it from going any further. Serenity trying to win out here in the midfield. We could see WRG bringing out these bumps, bringing out the physicality. Yusuf's downfield trying to get some clearance. Max keeps this alive. Ravi, though, into the corner. Eventually, though, another kickoff is secured here for us, Mel.
Yeah, and somehow we find a way to get into overtime. Us Gaming probably should have been overtime, but off of a goal that Ox Gaming should have had. But this time, White Rabbit Gaming playing for their lives here in game number 2. Every game is important, and they found a way to bring themselves into an overtime. It's a flip reset over the top of one for YSF. It's Galaxy this time, trying to make something out of nothing. Max to take his time on this. It's a big demo that should open up some space and pressure. Galaxy from his own corner, faking it past one. Max going fast. Galaxy only has one person to peek, but the first touch is going to be a little bit too heavy to deal with. Ravioli, the flick past one, but being able to get good possession and get good pressure here.
Nice booming clear downfield here. Galaxy's going to deny that one, put it into the corner. Max on the quick follow-up here. Gets it over to Galaxy, but it's Serenity who's starting to build something here for Ox. Tweaks, great clearance there to keep it in. Max towards the backboard, doesn't collect on the double. It's going to be Ravi here instead, trying to flip the pitch. And look at this third man here for Ox. I feel like they're playing a little bit too far forward. They might come back to haunt, or it could set them up here as this shot redirect towards net doesn't find the mark just yet. Max is still looking for a pass. White Rabbit Gaming's defense is a whole nother caliber right now.
Yeah, they've found a way to stay on big defense. They've had to reach into another bag of tricks to keep themselves in this game. Even for Ox Gaming, up by so much. But the pressure has been unwavering. Serenity off the backboard. Ravioli forced to defend it regardless. Opportunity, past the shot, not gonna go through. A big diving save. Now Galaxy looking for the 50, trying to make something happen. Anything for his team. YSF off the backboard. No closing opportunity this time. And this final shot off the backboard. The redirect was there, the opportunity was there, but it was just high.
This is overtime. It's just going to continue to grow longer and longer. We're about halfway through a regular game of Rocket League here as Ravi clears the backboard, tries to get us past midfield. Tweak stuffs him there, and instead allows Max an opportunity. Not going to get the touch he was looking for. User passes it in, but we won't connect. And again, these looks are growing more and more, but we can see how much stress is probably building on both of these teams as these misses are coming out now.
Uh-oh, here comes an opportunity. Ravioli to Galaxy, almost able to end this game. Now here's my downfield. Ravioli controlling this in the corner. Max, a big bump, opportunity, and a goal for Max.
A play there for Tweaks to set this up, completely eliminating the defender, and Max, all he has to do is follow that ball all the way home. And Ox Gaming in overtime secure game number 2. They are able to come or hold on to the comeback that White Rabbit Gaming was putting up there. And in surreal fashion, Ox are making this challenge for White Rabbit Gaming to get that number 2 spot so much more difficult.
Yeah, and this is the unwavering mental that we spoke about with Rhino right before we got into this game. This is the mental from Ox Gaming. Even if they don't have much to play for, they're playing for seeding, and that's enough. And they have been able to allow themselves to reach into another gear and pull it up as hard as possible. And the Matrix have not been able to do enough, especially against this Ox Gaming team, to keep them away from the level that they've been able to produce here.
We just heard here that if White Rabbit Gaming wants to take that second spot, they must win the next 2 games. But not only that, they have to have a goal difference of 16. So that means they have to average 8-0 score in both of the next games. And I think Ox might have just swept White Rabbit Gaming's hopes of making that semifinals easily right from underneath them.
Yeah, they have to find a way to win the next 2. I mean, with the pressure that White Rabbits Gaming have had, I mean, they could definitely find a way to take the next 2 games, but it's been all that midfield, the counter-attacking opportunities that Ox Gaming has been able to present to their team has been keeping them in these games and has been keeping the score sufficient enough for them. So hopefully for them, they have to, I mean, oh my goodness, it's going to be Ox Gaming. They need to not only take the next 2 games, but also win the next 2 games by a score differential of plus 16. And right now, that does not look likely.
I mean, that ball just took a tour around the sidewall there of Salty Shores before taking a couple lucky bounces and finding its way in net. And for how White Rabbit Gaming has been playing, you would think maybe that's not one that goes in, but hey, Ox, I'm sure they're going to take that as now they're in the lead here. And again, they're bringing out these bumps in these demos. We were talking about how White Rabbit Gaming was bringing out a whole new level of physicality that we haven't really seen here tonight. And Ox right now, they're matching that. They are making it as difficult as they can for White Rabbit Gaming here. And with those bumps and demos now involved in the rotation of tricks up their sleeves, it's just a recipe for disaster. White Rabbit Gaming can't get themselves turned back around.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these things, they're putting in sufficient pressure, but they keep letting up these opportunities, especially in the midfield, just like right there. No one able to cover the pass, no one's able to cover the shot, and that leaves a goal wide open that probably should have been capitalized on by Ox Gaming, but now they have the pressure. Yusuf bumps off but Ravioli able to clear the backboard away. This could be something for somebody, but again, just like I said, no one's in the midfield for White Rabbits Gaming, and that is allowing so much pressure to come in and come through for White Rabbits Gaming, but they might be able to get the quick opportunity. Pass in field looking for Ravioli. He had to choose between the shot and the goal. Galaxy reset opportunity, but denied. The earth is covered by 70% water, and that player that just saved that's covered by the rest. That's insane.
Oh my goodness. And it feels like White Rabbit Gaming were robbed of that one. What a stellar hold there for Ox, using the post as a little bit of a fourth defender as well to assist. Their Tweaks does flip the pitch, gets us downfield. A big bump there onto Yusuf, but nothing comes of it just yet. Serenity slowing the play down, does get a pass over here to Tweaks. Ravi in net, just has to jump to save that one. Yusuf, can he clear it out here? Can he get White Rabbit Gaming some offense? He will. It's Ravi looking for the corner read, doesn't connect. Galaxy shot on, and it's Serenity that comes screaming across the net to keep that out.
Well, that shot would have been sufficient against 99 of the top 100 players. Yusuf into the back of the net to tie the game.
Oh, I love this play here. Ravi, this one was going on, but Yusuf realized Max was coming in, forces an awkward jump. He knows he has to go for that one. And then Ravi, well, he could still get credit for his goal. He followed it all the way home. just taps it in, and then White Rabbit Gaming right back into this one here off the kickoff. Might be able to get a second, but this shot, no, isn't going to be on target.
And again, right back to square one in game 3, and might be an opportunity here. Serenity, no boost, just had to push that one away from net. All he could do was drive almost as a spectator. That's Galaxy, maybe White Rabbit Gaming have found their form again, have they? That's the big question. Ravioli, reset. Doesn't exactly get it and can't get back to the ball. Serenity off the backboard. Mai just trying to buy some time. Max a little bit too late to enter the play, but does anyways. A big sidewall double tap, and maybe something here, but Mai able to double tap that one away. Would have been the shot of the day had that one gone past Max.
Oh, Serenity had to get that touch there to keep it out. Ravi throwing an absolute cannonball at net. It won't go on. Instead, it flips the pitch. Big demo there from Serenity, and he's able to come away with the goal as well. Ox, in a sequence of events that should not have happened, managed to come out huge in the counterattack.
Like a cat, so agile. A demo right out in front and a big goal out by Serenity. That is exactly what you wished for if you're Ox Gaming. And we'll have to see. Not a lot of time remaining, just about a minute in Ox Gaming. Found control. Here's Galaxy trying to shoot far post. Ravioli tried to put it in. Didn't have the opportunity. Now Serenity losing a 50 that just goes right past the car of Max, and the most he could do with that is push that one away. Now it's Serenity pushing this high, deep into the corner. Yusuf challenged, killed right from the right wall. Maybe a second opportunity. Galaxy just playing the 50. Doesn't exactly get there in time. Right Rabbits Gaming, 30 seconds remaining. And they're down by 1.
We saw Ox give up that lead in the last game with 16 seconds left here. They need to hold on this time around. They passed that 16-second mark. It will be even more devastating if it falls in. Final countdowns on the screen for all to see here. Max needs to keep possession. Yusuf turns it here, though. One final opportunity potentially as Ravi puts his one towards net. It's up high into the corner, touches ground, nobody around. And Ox Gaming, if it wasn't already evidently clear with White Rabbit Gaming not having 8 goals in that game, but they've denied White Rabbit Gaming from sneaking into the top 2. Both of them will have to enjoy play-ins together.
Yeah, and that's going to be the big thing. And for them, the Matrix has been denied. Ox Gaming with a great game. I think they played great defense. They didn't have a lot of pressure. I mean, do you expect them to when Matrix is putting up as much pressure as they do? They've got 8 shots compared to the 4 of Fox Gaming, but what the discipline with the shooting and the ability to capitalize when they're on the other teams have that they've had, it's been so good. And with a lot of the pressure that they do have, all they've been able to do is to strike when they're transitioning from point A to point B, from offense to defense, and they've been a lot more lethal and a lot more strict with the shots that they're putting on target. They've been better with the passes and the final shots, and that's the level that they're looking for. And going into this next game, something's going to have to change, because now you're playing to make sure that you don't go down to 4th.
Yeah, I mean, you came into today thinking, hey, we have a chance for a second. Now you're playing to defend your positioning within the seeding. And one thing I do just have to throw out there, how many times did we say Serenity's name when it came to that Ox defense? And that's because they recorded 5 saves. That's such a huge difference in between White Rabbit Gaming getting that 8-goal win that they need, or the Ox victory there. But it is our final game here, not only in this series, but of tonight. It has been very evenly close and contested here. At this point, it's playing for either a draw or an Ox Gaming win. Bragging rights is all that they can secure here. We'll just have to see how this one plays out.
And regardless, the final game in Ox Gaming, if they can pull this one off, they're going to have a lot of things to look forward to in that playoff bracket. with the ability that they've been able to keep here. It's a monster reset off the backboard for Serenity, who's been able to do some magician-esque things on the ball this series. It's been nothing short of amazing. It's going to be a quick shot from Galaxy, who hasn't been... I mean, he's done enough to keep his team in, but when it comes to finding that final shot, that final pass, and the ability to sustain offense, they're able to do it, but goal scoring is something completely different. And if we can do that at the highest level, like Ox Gaming have been able to do throughout the series, they're going to be able to be great. Off the backboard, this goes, but this one's going to get taken away.
I mean, we can see here from White Rabbit Gaming definitely a lot more pep in their step. That second man a lot quicker to a lot of these challenges, trying to make sure that at least they can find some clips potentially for the highlight reel. You know, our RLCS right around the corner. Some of these players looking for orgs. Big 50 there between Max and Yusuf. Serenity puts us on target. Ravi floating for forever in air. Still manages to get the touch. Tweaks is coming in hot for this one. Can't get this infield though. It's again Ravi that clears the issue away.
Yeah, he has to get the save while floating. Well, imagine that much. But here they go again. It's going to be Galaxy looking to make something happen, but gets beat out in the midfield. Serenity trying to find his way through, but Yusuf with a big defensive stop, tried to look for the top corner. That was denied. Now maybe a transition here. Galaxy pushing this downfield only as far as Tweaks Mai, who's been able to do so much for his team in the midfield. It's going to be a big demo by Serenity. Galaxy just trying to read the play. Might have the flip from the ceiling. Trying to get the pogo. Fakes out one, but Ravioli taking too long to enter the play.
Serenity looking for this pass upfield here to Tweaks. He will eventually collect, and Tweaks does steal a full tank of boost, so that's a lot of room to work with. Instead, though, it's White Rabbit Gaming that gets a little bit better of that. Tweaks just trying to pop this around, play a bit of a nuisance if he can up towards the sidewall here. Both Max and Tweaks were there, so it leaves Serenity in an awkward situation. Has to go for that. Does connect. Oh! Serenity, don't do it to him. He comes in off of this touch here, off of the ceiling, and dunks Ravi.
Serenity! The last time we saw a shot like that, God was a boy. That is insane. The pre-jump from the heavens, and has somehow, maybe this one, Serenity, I mean, this entire series, the level has been otherworldly with gameplay like that. It's insane to look at, and the ability to move from one side to another, as good as Serenity's been able to do. Maybe a brace for Serenity here, underneath one, but couldn't push it on target.
Oh, that crossbar ruining another potential Serenity banger there for him. Tweaks is trying to stall things out, allow his teammates to get back into rotation here. Max pops us over to the sidewall. Ravi was waiting for that, looking for Yusuf, who was streaking in. Galaxy decides to turn for this one instead. Still keeping this in here. White Rabbit Gaming, they're not going away without a fight. Yes, Serenity might be able to clip on you, but you want to respawn for yourself. Clock dangerously low though, and for Serenity, he's just going to try to take a better 50. Instead, it's up to Ravi here towards backboard, denied.
WRG, White Rapids Gaming, have to find a way to get back to winning ways. If not, this series is going to have gone from manageable to right out of their control real fast. Opportunity off the backboard. This goes with just under a minute remaining. It's a big bump, and Galaxy had the extra touch. Max looking for something downfield. Ravioli, big interception. Max to Serenity. Serenity for the net. Serenity will push his team up by 2, potentially to end the series.
Time and time again, we've called his name here tonight. And that's because he shows up in the biggest moments here for Ox Gaming. Second goal to his name this game was a defensive stud in the previous one. But Ravi, that's another one we've called on, and he's showing us why as well. As a quick goal on the kickoff does give a little bit more hope here to White Rabbit Gaming, but it is 28 seconds to pull off a very unlikely comeback.
Yeah, 28 seconds, not that long. And White Rabbit Gaming, they did it in game 2. Let's see if they're able to pull it off in game 3. Or can White Rabbits Gaming, or Ox Gaming rather, end off this series in sufficient fashion? It's going to be Ravioli banging this one downfield. Serenity is backwards! And White Rabbit Gaming have bought their way out of a potential 3-1 ender into a potential overtime.
Oh my goodness, can you believe your eyes here? Ravi, again, this is the second time we've seen White Rabbit Gaming get 2 quick goals to make the game manageable again. Ox had all the pieces to put this away. Ball still up here, 0 seconds. Ravi denies Max's shot on net. We find ourselves overtime in the final game of this series and tonight.
Here's Max trying to make something happen. White Rabbit Gaming at least want to end the season with a draw and not a loss. They were a couple of seconds away from experiencing that loss. But have somehow, once again, for the second time today, pulled themselves out of nothing to push it into overtime. But the question is, can they keep it like it? They've been able to force themselves out of some serious situations. And just like that, Galaxy might have found themselves an opening, but they couldn't end it right there.
Ooh, Tweaks screaming and scrambling to get back in time. Does bail out Ox there from succumbing to the comeback. Serenity opting to leave this here for Tweaks. Tweaks towards the backboard, does get the stumble, doesn't get it though. Serenity follow-up is denied. Ball still in play here though for Ox. It's going to be another opportunity here for Max. Can't get it in front of net. This time Yusuf that clears it away. Serenity is touched though. This is huge. This is huge here for Tweaks, but Yusuf has come alive on defense.
The big 50 open for Ravioli off the backboard. Serenity able to get a caution-esque touch. Now it's my reset, losing control. Galaxy has the ability to go the full length of the field, but loses the control when gone for the reset. That's Ravioli. Pinch with Yusuf out from the corner. Big demo should give Mai some space to work with. 50, right back out to the opposite side of the field. He goes. Mai over the top of one. Galaxy just continuing to run it up. Yusuf, Ravioli trying to get past the last man. Maybe something here on the quick counter attack. Doesn't look like it's gonna happen. And Ox Gaming still trying to find a way to get back into the right half.
Gonna be off the back here of Serenity that tries to get that in. Galaxy gets a couple good touches. Instead, ball a little bit too far in front of him. Sets up Serenity again. Tweaks' shot is denied by Galaxy. You can see how fundamentally sound both of these teams are. Neither one wants to make that mistake that could potentially cost them here in overtime. This clock ticking away, and it's Serenity. Who else would it be? Hat trick to his name to close out the night. And Ox Gaming, for the second time here, are going to hold off against the comeback. In an upset fashion, we'll win this series 3-1 against White Rabbit Gaming.
What a game ender. That was such high-level Rocket League that was played at the end there. And for this, unfortunately, it was for the second time today that White Rabbit Gaming find themselves in a position to try and make a comeback happen and end up losing it in overtime in dramatic fashion. And that's not what you want to see from them. But going into the playoffs, Ox Gaming, with the way that they played today, are going to be on a high going into the playoffs.
Oh yeah, what a confidence booster to be able to take the third seeded team here within Master and drop them down to a 3-1 loss. That is absolutely phenomenal from them. Serenity was definitely the highlight for me. Rhino, who was the highlight for you?
Oh my goodness. I mean, you could pick about all 6 of those players on that field as the highlight for you in that game. Such an amazing series to close it out. 2 overtimes. Only 1 game was a 2-goal game or more, and that was game number 1. I mean, what a way to close out the regular season. An advert for RSC SSA, no doubt. Borky, I want to talk to you first a little bit about White Rabbit Gaming, because they were actually playing with a substitute, Yusuf coming in as their lowest CMV player. Do you think Ox Gaming had a game plan to go in and be aggressive in order to kind of confuse and disrupt the White Rabbit Gaming comms with their substitute?
Yeah, I mean, of course, this White Rabbit Gaming roster is a little bit more comfortable with Applesauce, who's been their third here for the season. But yeah, it is very potential that Ox took advantage of that. You know, they recognize the potential weakness there of maybe the chemistry's not as developed, and they really did in a couple situations make White Rabbit Gaming fall into very awkward situations, and it feels like they just kind of succumb to that pressure a lot more than we've seen them this season. But I don't want to take anything away from Yusuf. That was a phenomenal performance from them, especially on that final third.
Yeah, it did very well for sure in that spot. Mel, switching sides and talking about Ox Gaming specifically now, they obviously know who they're going to play in the play-ins now. Do you believe that Ox Gaming will be able to keep up the high-pressure bully ball style that they've developed in this series through into every single game in the postseason?
I think they will definitely be able to keep their confidence up, and when you have the confidence, you have a whole lot of other things to go with it. They came out, like you said, they came out, played bully ball, they played physical, they played aggressive, but they were comfortable on defense because they knew that White Rabbits Gaming, they couldn't develop a final shot in the final third. And when White Rabbits Gaming were on defense, they allowed the ball to drop in their final third so many times, and Ox Gaming were able to pounce on it as much as possible. But in case for them going into the playoffs and being able to keep their momentum, I think they'll definitely be able to, especially with the level that they have been able to develop at the end of the series, especially going against a very, very resilient White Rabbit Gaming squad.
Absolutely. Very well put. Well, thank you both for joining us here tonight on RSC. You guys can now go away and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. It's not even evening over there. Absolutely outrageous. But thank you so much, Borky and Mel. We'll be seeing more of the two of you over the next week in the playoffs. Looking forward to everything that you bring to RSC SSA. But for now, we are going to shut this one down, and we've got a couple of things to go through. Let's just remind ourselves of what happened tonight, starting the day in Elite. It was Unity Mzansi Magic taking on Cosmico Luna. Cosmico took them down 3-1. In fact, it's 3-1s across the board here tonight. A 3-1 in Cosmico Celestial versus Death Cloud Shock to Death Cloud in that one. In Rival, then Prospect came and Cosmico Cosmos took down the Jokers in a 3-1 series. And then last but not least, in Master Tier, it took 2 overtimes, but Ox Gaming had enough to take down WRG to do absolutely nothing to their prospects at play-ins. Both teams will be there next week for the playoffs, but a confidence-boosting win for sure for the side of Ox Gaming. And as always, let's go through and thank our sponsors then for everything that they do for RSC SSA, starting as always with our wonderful broadcast partner in Genisus Extreme, the guys behind the scenes, the team that are working to bring you this stream right in front of you. It is them who drive everything. Thank you so much. And Nearstream as well for supplying every single piece of equipment we needed for the Stellenbosch LAN a couple of weeks ago. Thank you so much, Nearstream, for supporting RSC. And last but very much not least, Slayer Energy, your prize pool and energy drink sponsor for RSC SSA. They've done a fantastic job with us. They have increased our prize pool to an absurd amount, and we thank them very much for everything that they have done for us. But we are finally going to shut this one down. The regular season has come to an end, folks, which can only mean one thing. The postseason is around the corner. Join us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here, RSC_SSA on Twitch at 7 p.m. SAST, where you will get to see Prospect on Monday. You'll get to see a Rival on Tuesday, Elite on Wednesday, and Master on Thursday. It should be a fantastic week of action. Find out who takes home the trophies in each of our 4 tiers here at RSC SSA. But for now, for the regular season, we're signing off. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week for playoffs. Take care. We'll see you there.
They do not know the rising towers of Hillbrow. They do not know the sprawling suburbs of the north. They do not know the sweet sounds of isiXhosa, Afrikaans, Sesotho. They do not know our ways. They do not know our people. They do not know us. We are not waiting for permission. We are not asking to be seen. We are our own region. We are SSA, RSC Johannesburg, RSC Nairobi, RSC Saint-Denis. This is not just a league, it is a movement. 4 seasons deep, and we are only just beginning. We train on 200 ping. We grind through blackout. We fight through silence. And we win anyway. This is Sub-Saharan Africa. This is our fight. This is Season 4.